Welcome everybody to podcast number 112. I apologize to Adam right off the bat.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to update the commercial to replace Dexter with Adam this week. Slacking. There was a little bit going on here in Alberta.
I like being able to look in the back room and I can see everybody's facial emotions as soon as you saw it wasn't on there. I just carries. He's having a temper tantrum over there, knowing that he's gonna fix it. It's all good.
I missed the intro. Well, I missed myself in the intro the last time. I couldn't really tell. I actually thought it was Tim. So thank God, a little bit slimmer, a little bit more hair. So I don't know. Next time.
Yeah, next time.
I'll have to. Each guy has to be interchangeable. So you have to take Dex out, put Adam in.
Yeah, exactly.
Dex isn't here.
Really missed the ball.
Off night
For Dex.
Feels
weird. He's been a part of every single one. So he kind of gave the maybe I don't need to be on one of these, and it's like, okay, well, Adam's always willing and waiting, so it worked out great. No, Dexter had prior commitments, so it works out good that we could replace him easily enough for the day. So let's start with the good old Alberta news. If people don't know, here in Alberta, we had a big provincial, release today. Shandro and Kenny were on, our health minister and our premier, and they announced that Alberta is going to vaccine passport. So for all those businesses, they can opt in and still operate as usual, just with the mask mandate going on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of panic there for a minute, right? Once they explaining some of the new rules and the regulations, and it was like, we can't have events, but seems to be that, mandatory vaccination at businesses have the opportunity to say that, yes, if they want to be at full capacity with everybody in there, then they have to be a mandatory vaccination, right? So they have to check on it.
Yeah, it was, and Tim can elaborate a little bit more on this, but I was sitting here watching the whole news conference or whatever, and I felt the first 20 minutes made me extremely mad because everything was like third capacity, social distancing, cohorts and all this stuff. And then I had texted all the guys saying like, oh man, this is going to ruin the WCBT. This is going to ruin the Team Pro League events we had coming up. And obviously bowling leagues would have to be shut down. And then they said, unless you're part of the vaccine passport program, then you can operate. So
yeah, they really should just send vaccine passport first or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and then said, by and then segregate everybody else. By the way, if you're not vaccinated, this is what your rules are, right? It would have been a little bit more clear. I mean, so I'm still uncertain of everything going on. I know tomorrow or Friday, you can't hang out with people inside your house with certain cohorts or whatever. But then on Monday, everything goes in within the business. We'll find out. I mean, I guess we'll find out soon enough, right? So,
yeah, I think the main thing they were getting across is if the business doesn't opt into the passport program and you're unvaccinated, then everything is kind of restricted. Goes back to kind of what we were in before, where the businesses that don't opt in have to run at 33% capacity of their fire code. The unvaccinated people have to stay within their cohorts to help stop transmission. And then, what was the other thing I was going to say? Like I said, it's super fresh, super new. This is just the information we have at this point in time. With that being said, Tim was saying just before we got onto podcast here that the Paradise Lanes has announced that they are opting into the passport program, which means the Autumn Open will be going ahead with the information we have at this point in time. So meaning you'll have to have proof of vaccination in order to enter their business for that event, as long as the Autumn Open is still going on. I don't know if that's been announced yet, but at this point in time, I think it's good to go ahead still.
Yeah. and you also have to wear your mask down there. But really, the mask policy out here, just if you're down there, just have a bunch of beers and support the center. You don't have to wear your mask.
sit there, just keep
chugging. Find your seat you want to sit at. That's your table, and just go hard, right? So that's how I kind of look at it.
So that is super unfortunate, obviously, for people that choose not to get vaccinated and all that jazz. But we understand Paradise Lanes' side of things. They need to operate as much capacity as possible in order to stay afloat. So, it's their business choice, and I think it's a smart move on their behalf.
I think it's the right choice. I mean, any of these guys that have recreation facilities, I mean, let's be honest, any bar, restaurant, cafe, all those types of establishments are going to have to go to this program to make it very difficult for people that aren't vaccinated to come there or go anywhere. So in order to go anywhere, you have to be vaccinated. So, being as absolutely strict as possible. I mean, there's a big age demographic that are less vaccinated. So make it tough and go get vaccinated. If you want to go to places, that's the end of the day is you got to get vaccinated. So
they kind of put us, like, they grabbed our balls and told us what we have to do, right? I mean, whether you want a business that's going to succeed or a business not, right? And like I said, the only problem I'm not opposed to a vaccine passport. Only thing I'm opposed to is that, again, there's no other way to police it except for ourselves, right? And is it fair for a couple of my 15-year-old pin chasers to be doing this when people come in? No. And I think that's going to be the problem, right? Right? And I think that's unfair to the situation. But, I mean, if it's going to make us have a normal... Are we going to survive on just families only? Or are we going to survive on no leagues? No. We got to have to run something. So, unfortunately, this is the way it's going to have to be, right? So...
Yeah. I don't envy anybody that's in a position with a business that has to really decide if they're going to be a part of this program and remain 100% capacity level, or go the route of personal choice and all that stuff, but really have to restrict their capacity levels in order to meet that, and then face possible repercussions if they get more capacity than they're expecting and a bylaw comes in. We don't know the rules. This isn't a political podcast for that reason, but it's scary for businesses. It's scary for the people that are all a part of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously other provinces are doing similar. We've had comments. BC is doing the same passports. Manitoba, we know people are, all across the country going into a passport system. So it's going to be interesting how it plays out and what the establishments and businesses, how the follow is from them. And like you said, Tim, that's the thing. Who's going to be having to check every day? So you have a security guy at the door basically saying it's an ID check-in.
Yeah. As
you come in, you have a new employee, check. Sure, you're good to go. Check, you're good to go. And then how fraudulent can this whole system become? Right?
So and what happens to your staff? I mean, I have two of my staff that aren't vaccinated. Right? Did it right? They're let go. There's so much other stuff going on. It's just I get it, and like I said, I'm not against it. It's just it falls on everybody else to handle it, not the people that should. Right? So
yeah.
That's how I kind of look at it, right? But you know what? If it keeps the business afloat and in time goes on, then we'll figure it out, right? So.
Oh, and you mentioned that you have a couple underagers as well, right? Yeah. And quite frankly, my son's 11. Thankfully, I don't have to make that decision on him as of yet. For me, there's just not enough data on youth and this vaccine, and with these guys
soon.
Growing, and even at 15, 16, where there's still development happening with these kids, and now you're going to force them to get this vaccine. I something just doesn't seem right about that to me.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, what happens when you're vaccinated? What happens when Braxton's vaccinated and you're not? You had to wait in the car for him?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's another thing where you have to think about. The one thing I was really annoyed with, and I'll say this, again, like I said, I'm not against it. U of A and everybody out here started putting the vaccine passports in, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to have the vaccine in.
Yeah, the universities.
Their tuition and everything had to be paid. Now you tell them, okay, by the way, And then the cutoff date to drop classes was today. So you told you had a 1 day grace period to decide whether you're going to go or not, right?
There'll be exceptions for that.
No, they got no. My staff.
There will be.
My staff got it. So I mean,
the University of Lethbridge just announced that they've extended the drop.
Yeah, U of A didn't. Yeah.
Well, they will because, like you said, that's unreasonable.
That's unreasonable.
Yeah, for sure. But I
think we all knew it was coming. We tried to avoid it as long as they could, but avoided it. And good idea, Jennifer and Cal. Let's go on to the draw mode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll talk a bit more, I'm sure, when our guest comes on for what's going on down there. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, is there any other news here before we move on? Oh, hey, how about those Toronto Blue Jays?
Good old baseball.
How about that local sports team?
Yeah, a couple of guys are going down there tomorrow to watch the couple games. So John Stone and Aaron Hart are heading down there to go experience some Blue Jays action. They're pretty excited.
I'm not a huge baseball fan, but it's I have been watching the last couple of weeks, especially. They're such a fun team to watch, and anytime that they're in like a bit of a hunt, it is fun.
So you're saying you're a bandwagoner, right, Adam?
No, I'm not.
Just
I'm
like
not
you
actively.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
just
my
like
Chiefs.
25
years of pain before it all happened.
Yeah, okay. I've only seen you cheer for them when they won. No big deal, but
I'm pretty sure you wore a jersey before that win. So
Adam might want to talk about his triumphant return to league bowling.
Oh man, that was weird. Yeah, no, I didn't really know what to expect. I still have a bit of buyer's remorse, as everybody kind of knows. A couple of years ago, I basically said I'd never play League again. So there's still a bit of that kind of in my mind. But I wanted to get sharp. I wanted to support the Wisemans more than anything, to be honest. And this is just kind of one of those small things that I can do to at least kind of support the local game, right? So, I ended up playing okay. I think I beat 3 of the podcast members throughout the evening. So, Timmy wasn't there, or I would have taken him on as well, I'm sure.
I was a spare only. It didn't really count.
I pitched in 9 against you, and I was like, that was the mulligan that I won back.
I banged out though 8, 9, 10. So
typical.
So you were the high guy of the night, the whole side pot, high guy of the night. Way to go. Weber, first night of league, and he's the high guy. Wins the quad pot.
Back where he was before.
But we installed the Weber rule this year and have a new Sunday match showdown. I should have got the video out for this. But anyway, Sunday matches now we've got top 4 guys. We did 3 that time. The top 4 guys are going to play off. So 2 quick games. Third played second, and then the winner of that plays first. So with Adam being a bye, Dexter played Ron Perry, and Dexter beat him. And then Dexter and Adam started. Adam started with like 6 from the gun. It was done. It was over, right? So
yeah, but the caveat is basically the top the quad for the night gets half the pot immediately, and then basically the side show, I guess, is basically for the extra half.
Yeah.
So. It was a good idea. It was fun. I think doing it as the 4 players instead of the 3 kind of brings that extra little element. And it's only an extra 20-25 minutes after the fact. Unless I'm in the final, then maybe 30. But it's fun. I like it.
The two games were only 20 minutes, right? So out of 16 to 18 to go into it, that's a good odds. You're 25% odds to make a stepladder. We get the tripod out. We get the camera out. We film it. We'll probably throw it up on YouTube somewhere. We'll do something with it, and we'll have a couple of our average Joes maybe be the commentators. So there's a couple of average Joes that are pretty funny in the background. You can imagine
shoots and DOS.
DOS.
It was fun.
Yeah, so it would be pretty funny to listen to them on. Yeah, we won't go live or anything. We'll edit it, but throw it up after. It's fun for guys, right? To get to play under the camera and do something different. It's not the same old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that all being said, let's pay some of our bills. So you can become a Patreon member at patreon.com/5pinuniverse for as little as $2 a month and help support us goofs on this podcast and bring you this media, I guess this media coverage of hopefully tournaments coming up soon. I was a little worried there when the restrictions were coming out, but it sounds like we might be good to go. So, and also our sponsor of the week is All Star Bowling Sales once again. So we'll run their quick commercial, and then we'll bring in our special guest of the week. So the list of accolades that this person has done, not only in the sport but for the sport, is unreal. Tim sent out kind of the stuff about this person. I couldn't believe the amount of stuff that goes on. It was pretty crazy. But without further ado, from Newfoundland, Melissa Manor.
Yeah.
Hey,
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Just here post hurricane, fence repairs going on in the backyard. So, just started vacation today. So I'm kicking off my vacation with you fine boys. So what more do you want?
Oh,
Nice.
we're so glad that can happen. Nice.
So this 3.5 hour time delay between us isn't so bad for you then?
No, it worked out perfect. When Tim messaged me, I was like, I'm allowed to stay up past my bedtime tonight. So it's great.
It worked out good.
Like for reals though, like there's a hurricane and damage like outside your window. I didn't know there was a hurricane going on down there.
Oh, man.
How did you miss this? Yeah, we had a hurricane blow through Friday night. We finished our MBT Survivor event about 10:30. Everybody scurried home, got home about 11 o'clock. By midnight, picked up. Gusts at St. John's Airport, which is just down the road for me, hit almost 150.
Wow.
A lot of people, it was minimal damage, fences down, siding. We have a big concert series that's going on here. They set up a big outdoor kind of performance tent, think like a circus tent. The entire tent got absolutely demolished. There was a few places, trees down, that sort of thing. So fortunately, nobody was hurt. That's the main thing. We squeezed the bowling tournament in the middle of a pandemic and a hurricane. So, all in all, your average weekend
awesome.
planes.
Yeah,
This is Newfoundland. This is what we do.
Exactly.
it's fair.
Wow.
Could be 10-foot snow drifts or a hurricane or anything, but the NBT will roll on. I like it.
We will just keep going, yeah.
I feel like by reading the bio and the work that you've done here, it's like the first 17-page document that we have. It's awesome. But we're going to have like the most shout outs that we've ever had on a podcast, because some of the comments and some of your history, you've got lots of recognition to some other people. So we're going to have like a counter up on the side, like shout out to so-and-so, shout out to so-and-so.
Yeah.
We were obviously talking beforehand, Melissa, about our COVID situation and restrictions and all that stuff. So just curious, what's happening in Newfoundland, in your neck of the woods these days for that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's statistic wise, it's not comparable to Alberta. I think we currently have, 45 or 50 active cases. Probably, you might get five or six announced each day. So I think we're about 80% of the eligible population is double vaccinated. They did announce a couple weeks ago that we're bringing in a vaccine passport system as well. I think it's going to start in the beginning of October. So similar, I think, to most provinces where you'll be able to access, grocery stores and pharmacies, anyone will be able to, but, restaurants, facilities, bowling alleys, certainly my understanding is you would, require proof of vaccination. We don't currently have an indoor mask mandate that was taken out a few weeks ago. I find a lot of public places you're going, you'll probably see maybe half the people are still wearing masks, half aren't. Bowling the weekend, I mean, we were fortunate. We know we have great relationship with all the centers here, but part of the reason we chose to go to Plaza this weekend. For those who don't know, it's a 36-lane center. Our largest event at one time, we probably had 80 people bowling, and even if you have 40 or 50 people watching, you have 130 people in a 36-lane center. When you only have maybe 5 or 6 people in the pit, people can kind of do whatever they're comfortable with. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. It's only, like I said, the past month, a lot of our restrictions have really been lifted. So we kind of, knock wood, you keep waiting to see, is there going to be some kind of big spike or something happen? But yeah, I mean, we're just starting up leagues this week. So it's pretty much business as usual in that sense so far.
So, has it been on a steady decline, obviously, for the last little bit? Like you didn't have like the fourth wave spike yet or anything like that?
No, we back in February of this year, we had our biggest spike. We were kind of ticking along with the normal bowling season in terms of league and stuff. And there was an outbreak kind of tied to some large community settings. So we ended up, I think at our peak, the most active cases we had at one time was probably like 500 or 600. So things got shut down pretty hard then. Once that resolved, we've been pretty steady, just like low numbers. I mean, maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago, we might have had 5 or 10 cases. That was before they removed the masks. But I mean, they removed the masks maybe a month ago. And like I said, we're up to about 40. So, and that's kind of spread throughout Newfoundland.
That's pretty low. That's pretty low numbers. Yeah. That's good on you. That's great.
It's been low, and it's funny just talking to different people, like I've said to people, or talking to you guys, talking to, bowlers elsewhere. The experience that we've had here with COVID, right, I imagine is quite different than the experience that you guys have had. I mean, like I said, at most, counting all active cases, our biggest caseload was maybe like 400 or 500. You guys are having what, like 1,500 new cases in a day?
Yeah.
Obviously, population is completely different, but sure. Sometimes when I read the news, I had kind of said to Sheena Owens, I'm like, hey, the Flyers are playing in Calgary at the end of October. Things are kind of cool. I might drop out for the weekend. And Sheena was home for the summer, actually. She said, so I'm going to see you in October. And I was like, NHL center ice in my living room couch works just as well. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, the population obviously kind of offsets a little bit of that number discrepancy, but it's still not good. Like we are definitely the worst case province at this point in time. But without to get into politics again, we did have Kenny push for the Kenny Stampede, so that might have been
be open for summer.
A resulting factor in that, but.
I will have to say that, honestly, if you look around most people who are like over it, they'll just keep doing what they want to do anyways, right?
Yeah. So, well, fine wearing masks and doing all this stuff. Do everything you want, but just wear a mask and get vaccinated. You're fine.
Yeah, you know what? We have 1,600 cases a day, and we haven't been busier. Like people will still keep flooding in. They're not the ones that are wanting to do what they want to do are still going to do what they want to do, right? So. Well, it's interesting what also works out once the passport comes in, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, that's enough COVID talk for this.
Yes. That's not, we're here to talk bowling, aren't we?
That's right. Yeah. Go ahead, take it away, DB.
Where do we always start? Way back in the day, there, Melissa. Take us back to where it all came. All started for you. So, some family history. Did you just take an early liking to it? Where did you start playing the game?
I came out of the womb holding a bowling ball.
Like literally, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of an interesting story. So my dad is from New York, and he was stationed in Newfoundland with the U.S. Navy. So he was on a naval base, and my mom was working in the area, and that's how they met. And, the base has various forms of entertainment, including a 10-pin bowling center. So they decided to give that a try. They really enjoyed it, and once they ended up moving into St. John's, they kind of got into 5-pin leagues and that themselves. So they decided, hey, let's put the kids in it. So my brother was in first, and I think I was probably only maybe 5, so probably a little bit young. I think the peewee age got dialed back over the years, but back then I was considered too young. So I used to go hang out every single week at the bowling alley, and eventually I was there so often they just said to my parents, she can go down and bowl if she wants. So I probably first bowled when I was 5. Loved it right away. Thought it was great. All the other kids were all about the snacks. I was about the bowling. As I'm getting older, I'm becoming more about the snacks. But I made my first 4 Steps team actually as a peewee. They bumped me up. They asked my parents if they were willing, to put my name on the list, and I made the team. And I mean, none of us. It seems funny now, but I mean, none of us had a clue what we were getting into. And it was sort of like, no, it's just a tournament, and they'll just go on this day, and we go to zones and we win. And then they're like, this is just this provincial thing and whatever. And next thing we know, mom and dad are looking at each other. We have our 8-year-old child has just qualified to go to the nationals. Like, what are we doing here? Are we sending her? So
I can see that happening too, for sure.
They made a decision then, which probably changed the course of all of our lives. They decided to send me on the plane, and they both hopped on it with me. And, 36 years later, they're still hopping on the plane with me. So funny enough, that first year, my first national experience was in Calgary, and I was billeted with Stacey Sanderson and family. So, I mean, they were probably, one of the best families you could ever hope to stay with. Put my parents' mind at ease, of course, having a young child billeted. We had a great time. We had a great week. We won a silver medal, made new friends, and I mean, I was absolutely obsessed by that point. And like I said to someone, it sounds like one of these, after the fact made up stories, but like I'd go to YBC Saturday afternoons, and back then the CBC series was on in the afternoon. I would come home, go down in the basement. We had like the, sort of that industrial carpet. I had the plastic pins. Yep. I had the softballs. I eventually I used to wear the weights on my arms to because the softball make it heavier. And I would bowl, have my own score sheet, and I would be watching the bowling in the background. Then I'd be, made to do my homework and have supper. And then by Saturday night, of course, TSN was on, pins game. So of course, then I'd be watching that, and hooked, absolutely hooked. Obviously completely changed the rest of my life. So I'm glad my parents made that decision randomly one day.
Let's be honest, guys. We all had the toy set of bowling pins and ball at the house that we played for hours and hours, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was really proud. Eventually, one day, I think we were down at Holly Lanes for some reason practicing, and Bobby O's father, Dick, he was working, and he just thought it was really sweet that I was so in love with bowling. So he gave me my own bowling ball, kind of one of those like undersized ones. I still have it downstairs. So what we rigged up then was we got rid of the pins. We set up a giant cardboard box, so far out where the arrows would be. And Dad cut the front of the box out and lined it with pillows, made my little foul line, and I'd throw this ball at the box full of pillows. Eventually, I got a bit older and a bit stronger and started throwing the ball into the wall, and Mom made me stop. So, and now she wonders why I don't get the ball out. Maybe she had to let me practice more, right? What a shame.
That's so good. We used to have a long hallway down our bedrooms, and it was just a perfect hallway, set up the pins down there, and we'd be off away from the rest of the family, so we'd make as much noise as you want. Go to the hallway and bowl down there. Pins, plastic pins shattering against the walls. My brother and I just boom, 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 boom. I'll set it up. It was awesome. Yeah.
Let's be fair, DB, you still had pins in your early 20s and late 20s, did you not, in the condo? I remember bowling.
Oh, yes. Yes, we did. Remember that first condo down the hallway? Yes, we did. Yeah. Once we put the hardwood, or the hardwood flooring was already in, but we would put the cushions up on the side and big charts. So yeah, good times, boys.
I remember in our basement, me and Rich, obviously I was like 7 years younger, so I always set the pins up. But we had like that really like thin carpet type, just garbage material down there, but it was all basically in like straight rows. So it was almost like a bowling lane at that point. My mom got severely pissed off at us when we ended up using a permanent marker to actually draw out the spots.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, hey, you set them apart too far apart. You did this.
Yep.
Set them properly, right?
No, and I remember we had a ping pong table, and on the back of it,
Adam, I think you have the same carpet.
Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Missed your comment there, Melissa. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, no, you guys froze on me. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Adam and I had the exact same carpet. Like, no offense to my parents, but we're talking like that thin sort of, industrial grade. It had like a pattern, and it was like brown and red and orange, and it had the rows, and like it had circles on it, and I swear the circles were the size of the base of the pin. Like, it was 100% made for bowling on.
It was meant to be.
It was fantastic.
Perfect.
Tim, you and Dexter didn't have the pins as kids. Could you just go to the bowling alley and play there, wouldn't you?
No, we had our pins, but honestly, we didn't play them as much as you guys did. Yeah, it was very.
Your childhood's left out. Then it's too bad.
Yeah, we had a bunch of other stupid stuff back in the day. So, but yeah, we used to go to the bowling alley every day. That's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good book. We'll make, and then we'll move on. But we'll make a book. Your childhood set of bowling pins. Tell us a story, hey? Somebody can compile a bunch of stories. Anyways, Melissa, bowling wise, you had some success at 8 years old. You got totally hooked. How did those nationals go? Did you get to a number of more nationals in YBC and have some success at some of those tournaments?
Yeah, so that was 98. That was my first nationals. Went again to Winnipeg in 1992. That was kind of a funny family experience because I was bowling that year in juniors. My brother was on the senior boys team for Newfoundland. My dad was coaching Bantam boys team, and my mom was once again, our head cheerleader. 95 was probably my most memorable YBC experience. We had nationals here in St. John's. I was bowling. My dad was tournament director at a different center. My mother, of course, again, cheerleading, also serving on the host committee. We had 2 billets from Alberta, and my brother had his high school grad the same weekend. So it was pretty hectic. We were fortunate to win the gold that year at home, so that was a pretty cool experience. And then my last national YBC experience was 96. We ended up in a 3-way tie for gold. So that was kind of an interesting tiebreaker. Each team went down. We each had our own set of lanes. And it was like everybody go down and bowl, and the high score wins. Unfortunately, we came third there, but kind of graduated from YBC with the set. It was pretty cool. Right around that time, St. John's hosted the Masters and the Open Nationals in the same year, about 3 weeks apart. So I was completely in my glory. You guys are buzzing there. Completely in my glory, watching the bowling and getting further hooked. Are you guys about to implode there, or what's
yeah,
that?
We got an emergency alert. That's amazing, right? It was an emergency alert for new health restrictions going off, so all of our devices are just blowing up. Oh my god, what's happening?
It's like change the subject, Melissa. Jesus.
No.
Anybody. I was saying 96. So I was well hooked by that point. Getting late in my YBC career, kind of looking ahead to Open and Masters, and we hosted both. Like 3 weeks apart. So I was up, hanging out, helping out, whatever. And anybody who knows me, I'm sure knows of my long-standing admiration of the Winnipeg ladies from watching them growing up. And one day I'm at a plaza helping out, and I'm just in like washing my hands, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, saying, "How are you doing today?" And I'm washing my hands, and I look up, and then I have this moment of like, "Oh my God, Chris Monchak is speaking to me." right? And I'm like, mind blown. Chris Monchak is speaking to me. So that was pretty cool. So, getting to watch kind of all these bowlers that I idolized definitely got me really, looking forward to the adult ranks. And, first few cracks of the Open didn't go so well, but finally, a few years into it, qualified for my first Open, ironically enough, in Winnipeg. So one of the first games I bowled at the Open Nationals ever was against the, Winnipeg ladies I grew up idolizing. So that was a pretty cool kind of full circle moment.
Cool.
Newfoundland always had pretty good ladies teams, but like just getting there myself, that was like a cool experience just to even be there.
What's the zone provincial qualification for Newfoundland again? How does it work? Out of the individual bowling centers represent a zone, right?
Yeah. So, it's the format is pretty similar to what it's always been, which is essentially you're qualifying out of a bowling center. Previously we would have bowled by names. My zone would have been considered the Holiday Lane zone. A few years ago, just to better align with our local sporting, governing body requirements, we kind of removed that direct affiliation from the bowling center. So it's just, Metro Zone 1, Zone 2, Western Zone, and so on. But I mean, generally speaking, bowlers can choose, which zone they want to bowl out of. And like, because most of our zones are located within, half hour of each other, there is that choice and that kind of flexibility. So most of the zones do the same kind of qualification, different from you guys. And it's one thing we talk about a lot. We do a series of probably like 5 game qualifiers. So there's probably, 6 different dates and you have to choose 4 and you bowl, 4 sets of 5 games to get your 20 versus you guys generally do your weekend. So like, that's one thing we've always debated. So I'd like curious to your guys' thoughts on that. Like when we have our sets spread out so much, we get into versus having it all close together. We always get into the debate. Do you think that gets you the better team? Like, does bowling all in one weekend produce the truer results, or spreading it out produce it?
I'll tell you. I'll give you 2 answers. One is I think having it on one weekend, I think it's better just to get the amount of people, and it's one weekend committed, right? And if you look at your Masters and you look at your Open, that's like 12 weekends, right? That's a lot of commitment to be having for that, right? I think that's so. I would say, as in for your best team, I think it's irrelevant, to be honest with you. But the drops make a huge difference, right? If it wasn't a drop, I don't think. Yeah.
Sorry, Melissa, do you get a drop in the Open qualifying, or you just pick 4 that you can attend?
Yeah, so we pick 4 out of the 6 that we can attend. That presents its own challenge, of course, because
which one are you picking?
Which ones do you pick? And then you get into, yes, okay, we're all bowling at Holiday Lanes, but, maybe for whatever reason, the lanes are scoring better on this day or worse on this day, or, someone's picking the ball a particular day and then they wake up that day not feeling well, whereas on another day they might have, it just brings a bunch of dynamics into it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll change my answer.
We've been looking, I think, the past few years to get rid of. Yeah.
I think, honestly, it's for us out here, we play most times we play back-to-back days, 2 different centers, which I think is a huge difference. For you guys, honestly, I think 4 different sets at the same center, I think it's whatever to me. I think you're still going to have the same best players make it out of there no matter what, I think, for the most part, right? I think if it was 2 different centers, it'd be a different story.
Do you think, Tim?
Do you think anything? Yeah.
Smiley face, LOL. Yeah, I got you.
There's too many tournaments in the year that for you to do that many weekends, it's just too much. You're going to get the best players if you do 10 games on Saturday, 10 games on Sunday. I mean, that's what my opinion is, but that'd be a no-brainer that I would immediately be changing, right?
It's
one weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
one weekend.
I think part of it again, and it's interesting because this is probably a theme that will come up on a variety of topics. I think part of why we do things the way we do is numbers, right? Because like over the years, you know, you have this very small pocket of bowlers in Newfoundland, and you know, years ago, looking at people and going, "Hey, if you're going to bowl the Open, you need to do it all in this particular week." You know, that kind of mindset wasn't there. I know within our zone for the Open, we're looking at getting it down maybe to just like a couple of weekends, because exactly what you said. If you're bowling individual sets for that and the Masters, you're looking at 12 weekends, and it's all the same time of year. And I mean, with Masters a couple of years ago, we switched, so now we do 3 weekends, similar to you guys. We do like say Saturday night, Sunday morning, and everybody was like, "Wow!" Right off the bat, that's 3 weekends, not 6. And if you change the Open, and all of a sudden, people are getting back 5 or 6 weekends, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you get the better team either way. I think if you have it all slammed into one weekend, you probably get somebody that's running hot that weekend that maybe they just had a lucky weekend. So that might be the caveat to having it all in one weekend. But in the long run, I think if you take it over several years, you probably end up with the same players anyways. The ones that play the best are probably the ones making the team. So I don't think you're going to have a huge discrepancy between your teams for the best players. I think in the long run, it's just saving your players some weekends, like you were saying.
The one thing I truly like about having that one weekend is, you know, it's the same weekend every year, and you start kind of gearing up the month before or the 3 weeks before, and no different than any cash tournament, but you can start kind of building up towards that same weekend. No different than provincials, right? It's always Easter over this way, and just the time savings of those weekends is so huge for family. And who knows, maybe one of those extra weekends might be something that you could always, you know, come out to WCBT or one of the club tours or something along those lines as well.
Or run a little side cash tournament instead of the
exactly
one, right?
Yeah. Another NBT event, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean that's always, like I said, a bit of a debate. I think as a sport, I think here, like, we're maturing. I don't know if that's the right word, because I don't mean any offense to the way things have done before, but like, I think it's just, you know, a bit of a changing of the guard. We have some you know, younger bowlers coming out, and just like in the rest of society, like, things are changing, and time is very valuable, and you know, people want to be focused, you know, get in, get out, do their thing. So I think it's been good, because it's like just bringing some different perspectives to make us look at, you know, should we be making some changes? And to your point, maybe there are changes, save everybody a bit of time, allow more time with family, and it's probably not really going to change the number of bowlers you get or, you know, the quality of the bowlers. So it's probably a good move.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. Is it seems like it more now than lately, like in the last decade, I would say, people's time has seemed to become a lot more valuable. And maybe it's just our age group, starting young families and stuff like that, that you don't have every weekend just to go bowling. It's now you got to pick and choose. And if you can condense that event and take up less weekends, it maybe you draw more attention to it too, and more players will come back if you happen to see a drop in numbers. I don't know.
Yeah.
So did you always bowl out of the same zone then, or have you moved around? Is that common then in Newfoundland? People would move around from different zones and form super teams, or just sort of always stayed loyal to playing in the same place? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I bowled my YBC at a Plaza Bowl, and that's where I started bowling the Open. Then it just happened that Plaza group wasn't going to be in the Open anymore. So myself and a few of the girls, we made the move down to Holiday, which was, you know, fantastic. God love Bobby O, welcomed us completely with open arms. So I mean, I moved down to Holiday, I think 2002. So I've been there 20 years now myself.
Nice.
People can move around, and you do see it from time to time for, you know, different reasons. But I would say, honestly, for the most part, people are, you know, very loyal to the zone they bowl bowl out of in the group with. Not to say if people move, they're not loyal. I don't mean that. I just mean in Newfoundland, there's definitely that real sense of camaraderie, and a lot of the people, the zones they're in, they've been in a long time. They probably bowled YBC there. Family members coach, so like, people. It's pretty tight knit groups. You do see sometimes, people looking for a bit of a change, or maybe a particular zone, a team just can't seem to kind of get the job done, and they sort of all kind of agree maybe it's time to shake things up. But that, I wouldn't say that happens a whole lot, no.
You guys have Holiday has a rivalry with St. Pat's mostly, right? Don't they? Plaza doesn't really, it's finally back in the fold after so many years, right? And then Paradise is kind of new to the game, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, without, I'm sure there's people watching now chuckling a bit. But,
for sure, yeah.
But I mean, yes, I would be lying if I said particularly probably, 5-10 years ago, yes, definitely there were some rivalries. But I have to say, partially, through, different things that have happened here, and, I'd like to think because of the tour, that's one of the things I think I enjoy the most. I really feel like, some of those rivalries, which were generally just more rivalries on the lane, and, everyone had a good time off of it. But like, before, when you walk into a bowling alley, you would see it was this group and this group and this group, and they were in groups like that, and that's what you saw when you walked in, and like, that is not the case anymore. I mean, I remember Saturday night at our MBT event, we were having a Baker event, so the place was pretty full, and I was just taking a few pictures, so I kind of stood up on a chair to get like a little panoramic shot, and I just kind of had this moment of like, wow, 10 years ago, I can't imagine that we would have all done this. Like, just everybody just being together and just being like, we're here, we're just happy to be bowling. And it's not even just post pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, different things happen, and people just realize, like, at the end of the day, it's a sport, and we love the sport, and we all have that in common. And when we got to the point where it's just like, we can enjoy that part of it, it was like, it was just really nice. And I think a lot of it is born out of, YBC childhood type things, and then they just carry on.
It's okay to admit that we still don't like Shane Chafe, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's questionable. It's questionable at best. So yeah, Shane is currently mad at me. So maybe we should.
Let's bring that up. Yeah.
Let's talk about Shane and I. So he wants it. Shane always goes bigger and better, right? So when we were planning this MBT event, he's like, I want to have a mixed doubles event. And I said, well, if we're going to do that, it's going to be a fourth night. And he's like, yeah, we're going to do 4 nights. And I was like, Shane, every time we do 4 nights, we kind of say we get like pretty tired by the end of it. I was like, let's do 3. But he was adamant that we were going to do 4. And I said, very good. What did I say to him? I said, if we're having mixed doubles, there's only one condition that I'm going to agree to it on. He said, I have to bowl with you. I said, yes, you do. So, I mean, that's not a real, I guess that's not an endorsement of me. Anyway, he agreed to bowl with me, so that was great. So looking forward to it. And so we go down, and the day of, we're just shooting the shit, and he's like, how you feeling? I was like, I might be able to, I'll throw my average, maybe like that 700 range. I said, I'm gonna need you to throw 900, Shane. And he's like, nah. He said, you just go over your average a bit. I'll come down. I'll throw 850, meet in the middle. Anyway, I had a bit of an issue with a cut on my hand, and I kept kind of telling him about this being a problem, and that was probably the excuse in advance. So once I started bowling, I realized it was very much a bad idea that I was bowling. Shane, I will give him props. He threw an 860 triple. I don't know if I made it to 550, but the next day I was at the doctor, and I'm now on some pretty heavy medication for a very severe infection. So I ended up having to drop out, didn't bowl the rest of the weekend. I totally killed his 860 triple. So I said that I would buy him lunch to make up for it, but then I ended up kind of, doing a lot of the stats and stuff all weekend. So then I said he owed me lunch. So we've agreed now that nobody owes anybody anything. So I guess we're friends. Again.
You're all equals.
I don't know if the Newfoundland group knows the joke. I'm sure they do. But Shane Chafe actually happened to be one of our very first guests We happened to lose the footage back then because everything was recorded. It wasn't live streamed. It got corrupt. Okay, I did. It got corrupted, and we were unable to release it. We tried scheduling again with him. Work always got in the way, and he's never come back. So now it's just a running joke that we always bug Shane because he's never been a podcast guest.
It happened on January 15th, 2020. I can tell you the exact date.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal now? Are you guys eventually going to have him on, or is this just like a thing? You're all in on not having him on.
He's avoiding us, so we're avoiding him now.
Fair enough. Yeah. He does that to me too. So it sounds like we're on the same page.
Yeah, it's a St. Pat's holiday thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, you know. It's funny because people always say, like, as running the MBT, that Shane and I are like a really weird pair. And if you know us, you will definitely agree that's true. But funny enough, we're like the perfect combination because, like, the things that he likes to do in his skill set and the things that I like to do in my skill set are actually really complementary. So, you know, we do, I'm sure, get on each other's nerves a little bit, but in the end, it kind of works out. But we're definitely an unlikely pairing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us more about when did the Newfoundland Bowling Tours kind of start? Where did it form from, and all that you've grown to be what you are right now? Let's give that some due course for the NBT right now.
Yeah, so, like, funny enough, because we were talking about it the weekend, the NBT was founded in 2017, but actually back in 2013, myself and Ryan Glynn, Brad's brother, he and I were really keen to have a cash tournament. So we, you know, put one off very similar to like a heritage format with qualifying and the pods. And we thought if we made it an interesting format, we might hook people. I believe we charged $100 entry fee back then, and we managed to get 32 people. So that was, you know, pretty good first crack at it. But honestly, both of us kind of had higher expectations of it. So that kind of went by the wayside. And, you know, early in 2017, it was just really random. We were getting ready, you know, for nationals and stuff. And I said to Shane, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking just like putting off a cash tournament on a holiday, like on a Sunday, $50 a head, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I was kind of thinking about something too. So we sort of put our heads together, just came up with one day, Sunday morning qualifying, Sunday afternoon playoffs. We opened up 60 spots. We were holding it at a 12-lane center, 5 on a lane. We filled it in like a week. And we're like, okay, that's pretty cool. So, you know, we had the tournament. You know, we did the whole thing. We had the trophy. We had the payouts. You know, we worked with Bradson. Mark got us, you know, we had a shirt for the champ, all that kind of jazz. And, you know, we had the event and there was a bit of buzz. And then we kind of started thinking like, okay, what are we going to do with this? So we figured if we were going to do something big, you know, we were definitely going to need some help. So 2 key things to getting us off the ground were, one, we talked to Bobby O, and he was fully on board. You know, what do you need? No doubt you can't have tournaments like this without some support of the proprietors in terms of, you know, cost structure and availability of lanes to give up a weekend. That was the key thing. And the other big thing, and I mean, sometimes it's just a stroke of luck. You know, Shane and I both knew a few people to kind of get for sponsors, but in terms of a major sponsor, I mean, there's a lot to ask. And somebody Shane knew just mentioned to him, he said, you guys should go talk to, you know, this group Body Quest. They sponsor a lot of stuff locally. So, I mean, Body Quest, they do, you know, massage and chiro and all that sort of stuff. Neither one of us was going there or seeing anybody there. And Shane just reached out to them and asked if they wanted to sponsor us. And they're like, sure. And I mean, for our size, the sponsorship that they offered us up front was quite considerable. We had the first tournament and, you know, the guys from Body Quest dropped by and they're very outgoing. So you can imagine getting them in the lanes with the bowling crowd and having a few drinks and seeing all this excitement and people fist pumping. I mean, they just loved it. And they said to us, and we're like, okay, thank you. And they're like, no, we're in. They're like, how many of these things can we do? Can we do these like every month? And we're like, no. So, I mean, if not for Bobby O being fully supportive from day one, and if not, I mean, yes, all of our sponsors, but I mean, what Body Quest specifically has done for the tour, unreal. So they came on board with us in the fall of 2017, and they're still with us, and you know, The relationship is great. We have, a lot of other sponsors local from our bowling community and bowling community across Canada, which has been great. So, once we had them on board and we had Bobby on board, we said we can kind of do bigger things, right? So, I think you got to keep in mind, like a lot of, crowd out west, all these things like Baker and Scotch doubles, this is secondhand to you guys. People here hadn't even heard of some of this. So at our first tournament, we did like a Baker format. I think we did it like trios, but Baker. People were just like blown away, thought it was like the best thing, like loved it, having a few drinks. We did get some complaints that year though. I had a really, really bad season and we had a rule for your Baker team that one bowler I think had to be under, 220 or whatever. So I happened to fit the bill. So we were able to put in a Baker team that was myself, Megan Gallicano, and Jen Baker. So that didn't totally go over so well. So future ones we had to tweak it a little bit. I don't think we won. We came third or fourth. But yeah, I mean, it's been just kind of growing from there, and we've definitely like looked at what you guys are doing, right? We like a lot of the formats. So I mean, we've done the the Baker formats, the trios, the doubles. We typically do like a double-sided bracket for the playoffs, but we probably once out of every 3 or 4 we do the Heritage pod format. So people really like that. So it continues to be an education because of course each event we're rolling it out and we're saying, okay, we're doing pods, and people are like, what are pods, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great, and I think, like I said, there's so much we can learn from you guys, and Club Tour, and Al and the work he's doing out in Timmins, right?
Mm-hmm. So how many events do you hold in a year? Like, are they set dates at the beginning of the year, or do you just sort of like, let's just see how it's going, or do you already have a set schedule?
Yeah, we pretty much have a set schedule. So we host like what we consider our regular full weekend tournaments in usually like April and September. 2 years ago, we brought in a youth event, again, kind of lending from some of the pro youth stuff that you guys do. So we've had that the past 2 years. We just do like a Sunday type thing where we open it up to YBC kids. We run it as a pins over event. We give them the bracket playoffs, but we assign a pro coach to each lane, just to help them, give them tips or whatever. So that's kind of those are sort of our set tournaments. And we're absolutely thrilled this year and going forward forever, we hope, to work closely with Bobby's family to help support them in having a Bobby O Memorial Tournament and fundraiser. So, I mean, earlier this year, not long after Bob passed away, I mean, we threw together a tournament, and the response from the community here was unreal. Within, he passed away, I'm sorry, I'll get this wrong, I want to say January 16th. So, I mean, there's the initial stuff and all that. We had the tournament on January 31st, so 15 days later. We had 36 teams. We had several $1,000s worth of donations, and we were able as a group to come up with a $5,500 donation in his memory. And the plan is, with his family's blessing, that each January around the time of his passing, we want to have that tournament and support them in helping, just using sort of our network to help, promote it for them. And I know the vision is to try to make it, bigger and better every year. And I mean, that's, as much as Bobby O has his legacy as a bowler, there's a whole legacy of Bobby O the person, right? That, people may or may not know, the tour means so much to us all. And without him, it wouldn't be that. Bobby's the guy who a couple years ago, at the height of his illness, shows up at the open banquet, walking around discreetly, passing people $20 bills to buy drinks. Bobby's the guy when we were up at Masters and won the gold medal, and we go up to the bar. The guy asked me, are you so-and-so? This guy, Bob, called and put his credit card on the bar for you, right? Like that's Bob, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking of Bob, I mean, what a week to see the announcement from the C5 that, Bob will be inducted at the Nationals, fingers crossed that it goes ahead. Here here next year alongside of Terry Blake, another great, Newfoundland legend, and Bob and Terry, competed together for many years. What a tribute, right? What a special moment that's going to be. So, that's definitely something we all have on the radar coming up at the Open, hopefully.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, to have that announcement this week from the C5 about the inductions and all that good stuff. And then you guys creating a memorial tournament to raise funds for the family or whatever those funds are used for. I know we have an event out here. It's not part of any associations, but when Shelby created the Darby Crest Memorial Tournament, a team event to help raise money to donate towards ALS, like, when you have people in your community that means so much to the bowling and all that stuff, not saying it's easy to create the memorial tournament, but people are willing to come out and drive hours to support something of that nature, right?
Yeah, it's unreal. So what the funds were raised for was the local Cancer Care Foundation. So it's the group that supports cancer patients, and they do a bunch of other fundraisers, and I can't even recall the number, but I know just through other fundraisers through Bob and his family over the years, they've raised a rather large sum of money already, and will continue to do so. But Carrie, you hit the nail on the head, and it comes back to this rivalry bit. The second we announced this tournament and the names that start coming in, it was like, your Brad Glynn is going to bowl, and but the names coming in and people contacting me, we didn't even think first about doing spins to try to raise, more money or whatever. And just people from every bowling center, not just Holiday, not just local, people just reaching out, what can I do? How can I help? Right. So obviously a very, very sad, situation, but I know Bob would be really pleased and really, humbled by the support of the community.
Yeah.
So what weekend in January is that? Do we have a free weekend there, team? Or when does the West come out to the NPT and play an event out there? Is that the April, the September, or the January event?
Yeah, let's get this on the agenda. And let's see
national tour. Oh, hey, you're definitely in the running to be an event at some point here, guys, right? We got one per month. We talked about it last week in the debate.
Yeah.
Right? We're open for business, right?
I'm sorry, DB. Are you gonna say you're gonna show up and not show up, just the bump tour, just for publicity? I don't know if is that your thing. I don't know.
Hey man, this isn't an attack me one. Don't come after me, son. Right?
But the September events, that's completely doable, right?
It's the season, the kickoff to the season, right?
I don't know. I'm not a hurricane person though. I try to avoid that.
Well, you guys should have one on before the Open. Just before the Open, we can all come in early.
In January though, or April.
And Tim, I feel like you're stealing my thunder. And Shane, I apologize if you're watching. I've been thinking to myself, I'm like, we got these people coming. Do we throw together a one day something close to the Open? So I'll have 30 text messages when I look at my phone after. So what date is that tournament? Yeah. We like to take at least 1 week off before we start planning, but it's always cool if you can think worlds collide. And some of us, oh, you're getting the offers, DB. Some of us,
I love it. I'm in.
Some of us, that's a good point of why we started the tour, right? I know that a bunch of us have, gone out west at times, but being on an island, logistics, work, finances, it's hard to get out. And the times I've gone out, I've always been glad I did. Not that I doubt in myself, but knowing my average, I'm not expecting to go out and blow anybody away. But just to be on the lanes, I've said this to Adam before, to be on the lanes, pick people's brain, being in that environment is really good, right? So for us, starting the tour here was trying to get our own little slice of that, right? And we tried to make it affordable. We try to offer different events. We do some things on the POA side periodically, or if we have team events, we try to put in, some handicap rules, just to make sure that those with lower average who might be interested in that sort of thing have a chance, to participate.
Hey, maybe one day we talked about combining the two national championships, and then that frees up April, right? So April becomes a big cash tournament tour. I'm just sort of throwing it out there in the future for anybody.
I like how Tim throws out, oh, maybe before in May or whatever. The Heritage is in the middle of May. Like everybody's
Heritage is May. Newfoundland is now April. March is we don't have a big one.
September seems like the biggest opportunity.
September does, but it's almost early after school though. Like it's a September 7th, 10th, which is like school starts. If you go to Newfoundland, let's be honest, we're going for a week.
Yeah,
like we're flying out
on
a Saturday. It's a vacation. So
do you guys remember the days of what was the website, guys? Like Canadian Bowling, or what was that? That message board.
Yeah, CanadianBowling.ca.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Jeff Young or somebody came in and started putting Facebook.com. And remember, we started this message board, and lots of new topics talking at Facebook.com. I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? Who is this Facebook? Like, bugger off, man. We're just trying to have our own little conversation here. If that was the moment that any of us bowlers decided to put $1,000 into Facebook, we'd all be loaded right now. Yeah. Right? And that was
we used to joke we needed to have our cash tournament the first week of August to coincide with the George Street Festival.
Oh, yes.
Right? The reason, I mean, for us, September tends to work simply because leagues aren't started. And for us, when leagues are ongoing, I mean, Tim will hear me on this one, trying to go to a proprietor and ask for an entire weekend, when leagues and stuff are on the go is a challenge. So we try to run it before. We look at it as a kick off the season in September. And April, for some, it's the end of the season, or for some, it's that kind of prep leading into nationals, right? That's kind of the way we look at it.
Yeah. So what I was going to, I agree with you. Trying to find a time frame.
September's the start of the WCBT new season.
But
I like that. In Newfoundland.
You're going to need to rename. You're going to need to drop the W, though.
Yeah.
The only reason why I was saying May is because if we're going out for Newfoundland for an open nationals, you can piggyback that.
So it works for 1 year.
Yeah.
This once out of every 8 years, that'll be a great idea, Tim.
Let's build something. Let's not
second weekend, the weekend after Labor Day weekend. Is that how you do it right now?
The weekend after Labor Day, yeah.
Weekend after Labor Day. What are you guys doing? Weekend after Labor Day. So then on the Friday before the Labor Day, you basically leave, or Saturday of the Labor Day weekend, you leave, and you're gone for that whole week, and you have to take 4 days off work. And you'll come home on the Monday, 5 days.
We're going to need some sponsors.
Len Anseth is saying he would love a reason to come to Newfoundland every year. So I want to know, because I'm pretty sure Shane is dumping me. And with all due respect to Tracy, because I love her, but I'm just like, Len, will you be my partner? We should bowl mixed doubles. Expos fans unite. Len and I, right?
Yeah.
Hey, the best part about Tim's proposal is that he assumes he's going to make it there for nationals. Timmy, it's the Open, not Masters.
No,
he's part of the C5. He has to be up there anyway.
Good call. Hey, that's why I'm part of WCBT, that's why I'm part of 5-Pin Universe. We're going to Newfoundland.
I just totally saved you guys some flights there. But no, realistically, I was just looking out for them because that's more people that might want to come in a day early to run an event or something like that, right? So
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The thought has crossed my mind, but then there's the half. I have these. Sometimes I have these Len Anseth is in. Love it. I have these half sane moments where I'm going. If the Open is here, I mean, hopefully, obviously, as anybody would hope, I hope that I'm bowling. If I'm not bowling, perhaps I'm helping in some regard. And then either or means I'm really busy trying to get away from work. And then, hey, why not? Let's just throw an MBT tournament on it, But if we make it would just be an easy thing, right? Like a 1 day.
1 day.
40 games, right to a step ladder or something.
That's a Shane thing, right? That's not a Melissa thing. So
that's right. That's a Shane thing. So the worst of it is Shane will probably have the bracket and the rules and all that posted tomorrow morning, and he'll have 4 sponsors, and he'll be like, our latest sponsor on board. Sherwood Bowl. Bradson Promotional. We'll have all the sponsors.
That's perfect.
Great.
Yeah. You might. Check will be post-dated for 2025 though. So
nothing wrong with it. I'm the accountant. So
big picture thinking here. National tour, people.
Yeah. We just need to convince Club Tour that Thanksgiving isn't a great day for a tournament, and then
Yeah.
Then we can become a national tour.
Yeah, so September we're looking for Newfoundland. January we're looking for a club tour to shift around a little bit. Right?
They did have a club tour, but it was in Elmira, I think, in January, right? And that's no longer a thing. I'll have to keep thinking. We'll have to talk to Jeff England too.
Yeah, Jeff England, are you watching right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Hey, let's go back a little bit. Good chats, obviously. Love the Newfoundland bowling tour, Melissa. Great work on everything you're doing there with that tour. That's wicked. We want to see it continue to grow and keep getting bigger and better. So well done. Back to the Open days, though. I obviously some successful provincial teams, national events. You went to 13 different nationals. Some of those stick out to you. Some of those teams, were they always ladies team or mixed, or what did you typically play?
Most of them were ladies teams, couple of mixed. I mean, I bowled singles once. That's my one and only singles victory, and it may remain my one and only singles victory, but I can tick that box at least. Yeah, I mean, a few stand out. I mean, like I said, your first one, and then, the first time we made the step ladder. It's an interesting journey, right? Like, and a lot of people, I don't think, realize that. I mean, even dating back to the days of, Cynthia Woods and Andrea Lane and these folks, Newfoundland has actually been knocking on the door for a very long time, right? And, even my own journey, like, first time I ever made it, we came 7th or 8th, and the same thing a few times. Eventually, we made the step ladder, and we were, close to getting a medal, but, you come 4th. Then we make a step ladder, and, we get a medal. Then in 2015, we had a super strong team that we kind of really felt was, the one. Came up short again, bronze again. A really special one was 2013. Nationals were here, and I was on a mixed team, and my dad coached me, and we bowled out of our home center. So that was cool. But, I mean, hands down, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to win 3 national titles, but the absolute highlight of my bowling career was when we won the Open in 2018 in Gatineau. I mean, first one for Newfoundland ladies, knocking on the door for so long, so many different ladies teams. And I mean, for me, that was the one growing up. I always said YBC, we kind of won early. So that was kind of the one I had. Masters was the one I never thought I would get. So I never really thought about it. And the Open was the one I always wanted. So to kind of finally get it, and that was the only one out of the 3 that both my parents were there in person watching. So, I mean, like I said, for all the years and all the heartache to win a gold in that situation, bowling with a bunch of my best friends, and to win in the manner that we did with a huge 10th frame culminating in Baker throwing 43 to win the game by 5. The only time in the game we were ahead was after the last ball was thrown. I remember looking at Megan and saying, I should just retire now because nothing's going to beat this. And someone looked at me, sure would. If it was you instead of Baker throwing the ball, that would beat it. And I'm like, no, you don't know me very well. I have to retire to do that. And like the funny thing about that was before we went down on the lanes that game, Annette Bruneau came over and she said, obviously I'm impartial in this, but she said, good luck to you and good luck to Ontario. And she said, let me ask you this. She said, if I told you right now you were definitely going to win and you had to pick between being up 300 pins in the 7th frame or winning on the last ball, what would you pick? And I looked at her and I said, being up by 300 pins in the 7th frame. And she said, why? And I said, I've waited for this moment so long. I need to get to a point in the game when I'm like, okay, it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. And just like have that moment to absorb it. She goes, fair enough. But she said, I've experienced a lot of things. And let me tell you, it's a lot more fun when you win on the last ball. And I said, okay, point taken. Right? And then an hour later, she's looking at me. She's like, now what's your answer? I was like, that was pretty good, Annette. It was pretty good.
Nice. Who was on that team with you?
It was Courtney Lucas. Courtney was a rookie that year. Didn't sit out a block. I want to say she averaged 255, rookie of the year. We had Erica Murphy, Erica Legge, Megan Gallicano, Jen Baker, Megan Davis, and our coach was Don Osmond. And like, what a week. I mean, our ladies team wins. Jen wins singles that year. Courtney's rookie of the year. And Newfoundland wins the aggregate for only the 2nd time ever. So I was like, you know, and I mean, Jen's on All-Star team. I want to say somebody else was, but I can't recall. But I mean, what a week, you know, like that's a lot to check off. You know, I don't personally, I love the sport too much just to not be involved and kind of not have a ball in my hand. But in that moment, I could have just said, that's it, I'm done. Like that was it. That was all I've ever wanted. You know what I mean?
From experience, don't tease that you're going to retire. People just don't ever let that go.
Won't let you retire.
That's why I prefaced it with the I could never. I feel like if I was a little bit older, I might have. But like, I don't know. I talked to Andrew Murphy after the guys won, the men's team won in 2013. And we had this conversation. I mean, later, Adam, you and I talked about it a lot. It's I don't know if it's a burnout, but you spend so long, right, trying to get up this mountain. And then when you get up the mountain, I mean, it's everything and it's great and is not, you know, a complaint. But I went through probably, 11-month period where we won the Masters and the Open, which was unreal. And I never probably really thought either was going to happen. And as good as it was and as happy as it made me, it was almost overwhelming to the point that it was just like burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the things you put yourself through, as we all know, with injuries and practice, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing to chase this thing. It's like, and now you have it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like a real mind thing. And I talked to Adam a lot about it, right? Like, sort of like, where do you go from here? And I mean, you guys can all speak to that. I mean, you've won multiple titles, and, you know, like, how do you guys stick with it?
You do have that. I agree with you. I went through that with you. Same thing. You hit your pinnacle that you always wanted, and then you're like, okay, well, what now? I mean, and there's certain people that always have those goals, and okay, I want to have 2, I want to have 3, I want to have 4. But when you hit that moment where you always cherish for your whole life, it's to me it was tough to beat. Right? You're there. It was different, right?
I think your goal just has to change, right?
Yeah.
Like your goal is to achieve that, and then after you achieve it, now what's the goal? So mine was always, okay, you got to that point, you consider yourself at the top, now stay at the top, be the top, right? Let other people catch you. Obviously goals gotta evolve and change as you play, but I think that's the beauty of the sport. Like you said, your goal is to win Open, and it turns out you end up winning Masters. Like, the goals may have been different than what you actually thought they were. A Masters you thought you would never achieve. That wasn't your original goal. The goal was the Open. But to get a Masters title was that maybe the bigger goal that you didn't expect and you ended up with, right? There's a lot how to look at it, I think.
Yeah. For myself, you have to continue to find additional ways to try to push those goals, because if you do try to keep kind of going at the same,
I got it.
Because if you kind of continue going down the same path, it's going to be very unrealistic that you're going to have the same result at the end, right? The goal might be the same, like, okay, you won this tournament. Well, okay, next year I'm going to go win it again. Well, what are you going to do to change, to continue to push yourself, right? You've already got that. There's going to be a letdown. There always will be a letdown right after that victory. But it's how quickly you can kind of change the mindset to building for the next goal. And you likely have to change your thinking about how you're going to achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm. So here, Adam, I have a question for you. Someone who's won a lot, right?
You or me?
Yeah. Not me. You won multiple Autumn Opens. You won multiple men's singles, right? Let's, as an example, in teams and stuff. The first one is always the best feeling, isn't it? The second one, like the ones after, never feel the same, do they?
No, I think they all have their place, right? They're all different feeling victories. Yeah. Like the first one for myself in 2007 for the Open kind of was out of nowhere. I ended up playing singles there, and that one, I don't know how to describe it. Like, because at that point, everybody's telling you, okay, fine, you're incredible, you're doing great, but how many people just fall off the face of the earth after one victory? So that next one was probably as important as the first one, right? In order to establish yourself amongst your peers, or within the game. I think they all have their different. I don't know, end results in the mind. But honestly, the last TPC one that I ended up winning there was such a drought there that one may have felt better than the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of what you were saying there. That was kind of Gino's thing all the time. I'm not sure who he heard it from. There was somebody that told him before, but it's anybody can win one. It's when you win the second one or the third one that really proves that you're one to be messed with, right? Or you're at the top of the game and stuff like that. Not saying that anybody wins one doesn't deserve it. It's just the chances of you winning 2 and 3 really shows how deep your game is and how well you can play, right?
Yeah, in the fields.
Yeah. No, if you get the win, if you're working all the time and that's all you're going to get, and a lot of people will only ever have one, so that's a huge accomplishment. Yeah, it's another level sure. When you win 2. When you win 2, there's a different mindset, right? Like, wow, this is now totally legit. I'm now a 2-time major winner. 3-time major winner, right?
Because I was always thinking about that because in 2010 I won, felt like $1 million. 2017, I was open, the pinnacle. I wasn't even thinking about Masters or anything. 2017, we had a great team. It was a long drought for 7 years, I guess you could say. But we had a great team. We played well. We probably the best team I ever played on, gel-wise, and we won. But 2019, honestly, and again, you're right, Kerry and Adam, it solidified yourself with 2. But when 2019 hit and I won the third one, it was just different. It wasn't the same as it wasn't. It just didn't have the same feeling as the other 2, right? And I mean, I guess it was just a different feeling. I always wonder what you guys are always thinking about that. So,
just for personal, I think my experience is different. I think every time I've been lucky enough to win something, I think it matters the most then. Like, it feels like the latest win is the most important. It doesn't matter that you won a tournament back in 2009 or whatever the fact. I won one in 2017 or 2019 or whatever the fact is. I guess that it's coming from a place of a little bit of privilege, right? Been lucky enough to win that many times that you can say something like that. The climb to get to the top of the mountain, I think was the most. The first one's always the best, but I think as you win more, it becomes more appreciative as you go. For me, anyways.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah. Thanks, Len. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. You got the free drinks off of Dexter.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry, Timmy. Kind of to your point about 2019, though. I think the second one, it feels almost as good as the first one. The third one, you have such lofty expectations that you're already going in assuming that that's going to be a result, right? So it's more of like a business-like approach that, okay, fine, well, you end up winning. Well, that was the goal. I know I can do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably where the mindset was, and we were a phenomenal team there as well, which certainly helps. But you kind of get into almost like a business-like mode, and now it's like a pile-on mode, right? So the next one that you end up making too, you're going to have the same expectations, and if you end up winning, it doesn't have that same feel. But wait till there's a 10-year drought, and then that win is going to taste really good.
The dough creeps in,
yeah.
Let's go to Masters a little bit.
But it's funny you say that, Adam. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
No, I was just going to say,
then we go to Masters. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to kind of come back to our Masters experience. Like, you guys talking about a drought or whatever. I mean, when we won both the Masters and the Open, it was, the first one for Newfoundland, but for Newfoundland ladies, sorry. But I mean, when we won Masters in 2017, it had been 40 years since Newfoundland even won a medal. So funny enough, the the last medal before us that had been won was Annetta Power's rookie year. Annetta Power's rookie year. She was on the team. 1977 won a bronze medal. Of course, all these years not winning, Annetta kept saying, that she set the bar and we couldn't match it. So how ironic. Anetta's getting her 40-year Masters plaque in 2017. We end up winning the Masters, but I mean, talk about top of the mountain. I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but for myself, I mean, the first year I bowled the Masters, we won our first game. We lost 19 games in a row, and we won our last game. So we won 2 games. I'm sure someone's going to correct my memory on this. We won 2 games, and we won like 20-odd points. So think about what went on in the other 19 if we won 2 games and got 20-odd points. We were, on paper, average-wise, that far behind the other teams that year there was actually a pool. People were betting on how many points we were going to win. So when you're a bowler, and I mean, I respect the game, I respect myself and my team, and we certainly knew where we stacked up average-wise. But I have this moment in 2017 standing there in the 10th frame with us this close to winning the gold, and I'm flashing back to walking into someone's hotel room where they have a chart drawn up, betting on how bad we're going to be. Wow. So the emotion that I felt in that moment of winning, like I can't even really explain that in words. Wow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Unreal.
Right? And I mean, that year that we went 2-19, that wasn't even the worst year. There was another year we won 1 game. But I mean, for the group of girls we had, and it was different people every year, but to keep, you know what I mean? To keep going back, because we didn't want the Newfoundland contingent to fall apart. And different years, it was different divisions, really just had to step up and just, see who could go. And that's no disrespect to whoever was on the teams, but it was just, it was what it was. And there was years you needed 32 people for a contingent, and we had 32 people. Right? Mm-hmm. So to see the success, not just my teams that I've been a part of, but I mean, we've had teaching teams win gold. Elizabeth Bishop won a gold medal in singles. Shane won a gold medal, right? So it's such a different experience because, bowling in some of the bigger provinces certainly is really hard to make a team, but you got to know if you make a team, you're probably going to have a good shot at a podium, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas with us, you don't always know that. So it's definitely that. I think from going from that low of low to that high of high, will I ever be on a team that wins the Masters again? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty confident that feeling will not be as intense as it was the first time, right?
There's a topic for you guys. Have you noticed? I guess in my experience over the last, let's go with the decade. The Masters fields across Canada have kind of leveled out. It's not, you always expect your team to be on the podium or win, stuff like that. But across Canada, it's almost any team is literally right there. Like they're all filled with players that play on the WCBT or the Club Tour or the NBT now. They're all elite or very competitive teams. I don't think there's teams that are just showing up in, like Melissa, for matter of fact, going 2-19. That doesn't seem to happen so much anymore. Maybe that's more on the men's side from what I've noticed, but I think that's kind of common across the board, isn't it?
I think we're better. I'm going to say think a lot, but I think we're better off than normal than previous years. I do agree with you, Carrie. I think there's some provinces, I can name about 3 of them, that lack participation in tryouts, and I think it's not the best. It's not the best team I think they could field, but it's still stronger than what they've had in the past, right? And I don't think that has anything to do with people not wanting to play. It's just the amount of money up front and maybe the travel between events. I think it's really been the biggest thing. So,
but you're right, though. You're probably not as surprised now as 10 years ago. You would have been more surprised. Really? They got gold? Right? Whereas now it's like, no, that's actually not all that surprising. They got some good shooters and good players because they all play in a competitive league or competitive tournaments or whatever tours that they might be playing on. So,
yeah.
I think you answered your own question, Carrie. Having these tours available to these players, and now like there is a competitive landscape around this country, literally across the country, that maybe we haven't seen ever, right? Or certainly in many, many years, right? So the competitive levels of so many players will just bring out the best competition at all levels.
Yeah. Here's a question we were debating the other day: is the best league across Canada? Like, Melissa, what do you guys have for a super league? I think you just said you play Mondays or Tuesdays, or what's a super league in Newfoundland? The best players are somewhat playing out of.
Pretty much, there's out of each center, there's probably a pro league, and where most bowlers bowl a couple of nights a week, the leagues are probably fairly similar. We don't have a travel league. There's no draft leagues here. We've been talking about trying to do that, but again, that's a mindset thing because we've never really done it. But yeah, Holiday has a pro league, St. Pat's has a pro league, Paradise has a pro league, Plaza has pro leagues, and so on. So I don't think there's really one league that would be kind of the league.
What's the 10th place average in these leagues, you thinking? You know what I mean? The high guy might be 275, something like that.
Yeah.
The 10th might be 260, or is the 10th like, oh, maybe there's going to be a significant drop at 10th place? Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'd say, most of the pro leagues, I'm thinking your top 10 is over 250. I don't know. I think Shane had a pretty high average. Look at me giving all the compliments to Shane. Jesus, he's gonna buy me lunch yet.
That's a dream.
I think he had 270 some odd average last year. A couple of the guys, we have some young guys coming up here, big shooters who probably haven't been on the Open or Masters scene simply because we haven't really had it for the past couple of years, but definitely some new young guns coming out of Newfoundland. It's your usual, your usual suspects. And on the women's side, we got a lot of up and comers, but Courtney Lucas is just unreal. Just a couple of years out of YBC Triple Crown winner, has won the Open, Rookie of the Year at the Open, Masters silver, making MBT cuts. She's bowled the Open twice. One year we won. The next year I coached and we got bronze. She's been to 2 nationals and she has not sat out a block. Right? So, I think it comes back to what you guys are saying, right? This competitive landscape. When I was 19 or 20, if we had all this stuff, right, I would have been all over it. So I think, you guys are getting heavier tournaments with your, probably 230 entries, which is 150, 180 people. We might have 80 people here, but people are just getting this competition that they were never getting before. And it has to make you better.
Absolutely. I like Glenn's comment there. The more you play against the top players, the less you fear them. I think that's a pretty big comment because you get more and more used to it and kind of comfortable in your own skin in a match play setting. Right? Experience.
Everything's experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to play these events to gain it.
Anyways, I was going there with the league. Sorry, Carrie. Is that the league? I'd like to know across Canada where are the super leagues? I know Regina's talked about a super league. I know Winnipeg obviously does. There's plenty, Tinnemans, Jeff Young, guys out in BC. Where are the best leagues? If somebody can send a list, send an email to me. I want to build on this, right? There's something there down in future segments that we can talk about. Tim can, we talked about league scores at some point. But where do you think, are people listening, is the best league that you know of that you play out of, or that somebody else plays out of? Tell us more. There, that's the comment there.
So what is the league in Alberta? What is the league? If you want, the best competition in Alberta, what's the league?
I think right now, unfortunately, there was a really big league at Bonnie Doon Wednesday nights. There was a Tuesday night league at Bonnie Doon. There was a Wednesday night league Bonnie Doon. That unfortunately has gone by the wayside. The scores were just getting ridiculous, and the format changed, and it actually stop people from having fun, to be honest, which is weird. But now, so I'd probably say Sherwood Park Sunday nights. There's a number of guys that are in the A divisions that are going to be 270s that are be playing. But it's not anywhere like some of the major leagues that Edmonton has seen in the past, for sure. Bar none. There's through and through.
Yeah, major leagues in Alberta kind of gone wayside. You have Toppler on Monday nights. Yeah. That'd be the next close one, and then maybe depending on which third it is in Red Deer, right, Kerry?
Yeah.
Right. It just because just the first third nobody really plays it, right? So, but maybe around the open third, I think it's competitive enough, right? So
yeah, the second third used to be really good at Heritage and Red Deer, but even that's gone the wayside too, right? People are opting to play in fun leagues more so now.
Sure.
And just to go back to the Bonnie Doon thing, what they did with their pinfall was obviously to create more entertainment, more excitement for their league bowlers and for the open play, right? Mm-hmm. But it really destroyed that competitive scene. It just made it to the point that everybody was throwing strikes, and I don't know. Everybody loves throwing 300s, but it gets pretty boring when everybody's averaging 300.
Yeah. I'll put it this way.
It's a hard mental thing to think that why what's wrong with that? But I get it. It'd be like, oh my god, just another.
So
one. No, just
the best analogy I would say it's like Kerry and I go start 7-bagger from the gun. First one who punches loses the game, and then that was it, right? And that's how the whole league was kind of a format. And it after a while it just became the wayside of it, right? So.
Here's a prime example. Look how many perfect games, right?
Yeah.
The whole country there for a while was maybe 6 perfect games in a season. Bonnie Doon
had
in
6.
one season had 6.
Yeah.
Like
Freddie, I always bitch about this, but Freddie had 7 corner pulls against
String
me
pulls?
one game.
Yeah. They were all bombs.
47. Yeah, sure they were.
They were all bombs.
So that's what happened with that league. It's unfortunate. In Edmonton at one point, we had Tuesday match play at Bonnie Doon, which was 24 lanes. You had Wednesdays, which was high competitive. Low man was like 220. And I was your low bowler in that league, and that was 12 teams, sometimes 14. And then you had St. Albert that was, 12 or 14 on Tuesday. Collingwood, when Collingwood was around, they had a 20-person league there, 20-team league. They also had a Sunday night league. We had our Sunday night league of 16 lanes, and then KJ had a 12 match play. So you look around the whole city and the landscape, it was just packed. And now for match play, real match play, you have something at Bonnie Doon where you take 130 averages, and you have ours and you have St. Albert's on Tuesday, and that's in the city.
Yeah, I think Bonnie Doon has a match play league again Sunday night.
But they're taking 130 averages.
Yeah, just the
fillers. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, we'll build on this. The leagues and I want to recognize those people that across the country that are playing in league and that are competing in high averages and high scores. Let's chat about those. So if anybody wants to submit those information, we're happy to chat about it in the podcasts. Just breaking things over here. Melissa, you had mentioned, an up and comer in Courtney Lucas. Thanks for sharing her. But how about some of the other ones? I know you've got some names here that you'd like to chat about too. Some of the future generation of Newfoundland.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just jotted down a few things from the weekend. It's actually like unreal to me. I mean, it's kind of cool. We have, the changing of the guard is no different than, Adam with Braxton and stuff. I mean, we've got Katie Wells out there, Sean and Janet Wells' daughter. I mean, Katie's went away to Youth Challenge more times than I can even remember. She bowled MBT the weekend, making the cut. It's her first year out of YBC. Her and Courtney actually had an awesome match the weekend. And not to play that, male-female thing, but to see 2 young women battling it out in the bracket in amongst all the guys is, it's just a testament, right? Our Survivor event was won by Daniel Drodge. He's another young fella. Jack Walsh, who's Steve and Joanne Walsh's son. He's, I'm going to say 16, 17. He was our top qualifier. Beating out all the big guns. He and Joanne won the mixed doubles. He went pretty far in the playoffs. Noah Kelly, another young guy just out of YBC. He made it to the semis. Matt Barrett, we had him in top 24. I mean, I'd say out of our top 24, I mean, we had, I'd say, 6 or 7 bowlers who were, in YBC or just sort of that year or so removed from YBC. So it's been a few years since we've had Open and Masters. So I'm pretty excited if we have a season this year to kind of see their emergence. And it's reminding me that I'm old. which also means many of you are old too, because
Yes,
we've all been around together for a long time.
Well, we all need the future generation and the young players to keep bowling, and the older generation has to welcome them into the mix, right? Like, be okay with the younger ones beating you and giving them the kudos and the congratulations, and then they're just going to want to keep playing, and then you get an opportunity to play with them.
I'll never be okay with them beating me, but I'll give them a congrats for sure.
It's fair, touche. Yeah.
But it's funny, and it was like you said earlier about like finding that like next goal or that next thing. I mean, any team you try out for, you know, you're hoping to win. But I feel in my mind, like, you know, knowing that, you know, you're kind of more that role player on a team, and some of this younger generation is going to come in and like lead the way. It's a reality that you're probably on the back end of the career. I'm also feeling kind of energized about it because for the first time in a while here, I know you guys have a lot of, you know, younger kids, but that interest, that spark is there from the younger bowlers. We had a bit of a gap in time where I wasn't sure. I didn't know that things were in good hands. I didn't know that things were going to be in any hands. And looking around there this weekend, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be all right.
That's awesome. And even in the last few years, you know, the considerable success that Newfoundland has had. Obviously, the ladies winning the 2017 Open, the 2018 Masters, right? Did I get that right? Other way around. But you know what I mean? Like there's some other things here that you've got that some of the ladies, there's 3 ladies singles that have won gold. Well, that's 3 singles in the last, 7 years coming out of Newfoundland. You know?
Yeah.
Some of the other
it's pretty crazy.
things,
And again,
you know,
shout out to Shane for his Masters gold medal. Can't forget that. But I keep telling him, it was funny. I was thinking I didn't burn him on this one earlier, but we were chatting a bit today, and it was like, yeah, you know, Open is here this year. It's always nice, you know. Wouldn't it be great to win one at home? You know, get a win. Wouldn't it be nice to get a win? And I'm sitting there thinking, get a win, Shane, get a win. Oh, but yeah, no. All seriousness. I love Shane, but yeah, no, like. The success, and like I said, it was a long time building, but I think I counted dating back to 2010 between Masters and Open men and women. I think we have like a tournament level 5 or 6 singles, 5 or 6 team titles, pins over average singles, pins over average team. I can't remember which year, but one year in there, our youth challenge team won. It's. And just other years. I mean, 2012. You know, I think we had 3. You know, just years we're not winning. We're still winning a lot of medals. So it's definitely good to see, and it's just a bit crazy when you think about our numbers, right? We were talking earlier, like we posted sort of our total to date payouts, right? And I mean, we charge a lot less entry fees than you guys do. But when I started thinking about it, you know, we pay out probably 10 or 12,000 an event on average. You know, across our different events, we might have maybe 100 different people bowl, and the most expensive entry fee that we charge is $60. Mm-hmm. So if you start trying to scale, you know, when you scale that for numbers and costs, I'm like, based on size, like I've always kind of felt like we were, you know, smaller down here, but if you really scale it, like we're right there, right?
Mm-hmm. It just shows the strength of the Newfoundland bowling scene, right? Because let's face it, our population draw is a lot higher out in the WCBT, but the distance, the amount of travel and stuff like that makes it a lot tougher, and the higher costs, right? We do charge a higher entrance fee. We do. That's where it all comes down to, because you guys are on the island and you have such a strong bowling community. At $60 a pop, you're still going to get that huge draw. You're still going to get that good payout for that little bit of a fee. It's amazing what you guys have built out there, and it just shows the strength of what you got going on.
Yeah, it's cool. Like when we started it, we had some good, you know, as much as we tease and banter. I mean, I have a ton of respect for Shane, and I don't know if it would have worked if it, you know, like I said, I think we're the perfect team. But we were really aligned from day one on sort of what were our goals. And as flattering as the comparisons might be, our goal was never to be WCBT. Our goal was to offer something at a reasonable price that was going to give people these opportunities to compete. And if it's someone's getting up in the 10th and they know they have a chance to win the singles pot for $50 and, $50 in your pocket, hey, that's something. That ball is just a bit more meaningful than your Thursday night rec league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we've found, and I mean, the event we love the most, and is probably our most popular event, is our Survivor event. And I don't know if you guys really have anything similar, but pretty much you dry your pool and you keep bowling on your lane, and people keep getting knocked out until there's a survivor per lane, and then all the survivors come together. And every single time we do it, without fail, when you look at the final 8 names, no disrespect to anybody, if you look at the 48 names that started, and you look at the groups that started, and you look at the 8 names that are left, it is an amazing testament to what happens in match play when it's you bowl your couple games and your score resets and you bowl a game. We had one of our YBC bowlers right to the final 8. We had a great young bowler, Chelsea Noftel, at a Plaza Bowl, who hasn't really had a chance in the Open and Masters yet because of the pandemic. I think she threw 2 370s in 3 games. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And looking at some other people and averages and stuff, and it's cool. And when you see those people have those experience, right? And it's confidence, right? And it's like Len said earlier. I think you get better by playing the best, and the more you play the best, it has to make you better, right? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
I agree.
Right? So it's been pretty cool that, like I said, I think seeing what you guys were able to build was kind of inspiring to us. And we're like, if we could even on a smaller scale build that interest. And when you're finishing up the tournament, people are kind of going, when's the next one? Right? It's hard not to feel energized. And for me, kind of with that burnout and then the pandemic and all of it, like I'm feeling kind of more amped up about bowling and getting back at it than I have been in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that fire.
Yeah.
Adam, you had some questions?
Well, yeah, no, I have a couple for sure. First of all, Melissa, you're on vacation and you're not drinking a warm beer.
This is very distressing. This is a very sensitive subject to my heart. My very, very, very super duper strong medication does not mix well with drugs. Now, I will admit, and this is a little sidebar, I'm not that person who's above drinking while on medication. This is kind of a serious thing, and I don't want to lose a finger, hence bowling career. So I'm taking it very seriously. But I had a kidney infection randomly at the 2005 Masters in Red Deer. We were on the plane flying up, and I was like, something here is not right. So I get there, and I end up going to emerge. Some tests later, I have kidney infection. I go on drugs. They actually suggested with the kidney infection, again, they want you flushing your system. They're like, we actually recommend you do have a couple of beer. Well, if you want to ask Tracy Smith how that night worked out, I was in my early stages of knowing Tracy, and we were having a deep life conversation. And the combination of medication and beer, there's like people refer to things, like were you blackout drunk? Were you this drunk? People say, were you Red Deer drunk? Christina Hogan tucked me into bed that night. I was coaching the next day, and apparently I was entertaining enough when I talked to Tracy that at Heritage the next day, one of the young employees came over with a towel draped over his arm, a tray, and a little note, a bottle of water, and a thing of Advil. And he's like, for you. I'm like, for me. And I pick up the card, and it says, thanks for the fun and entertainment you provided us all with last night. Tracy. And that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So at the risk of coming on this podcast and creating another one of those moments, I'm on the water, but very, very sad about it. But there is some beer in my future as of like 9 p.m. on Monday night. So check back.
I'll cheers to that with you now.
There you go.
Now, the major thing that I've got to ask is the Manor post that we all read every year, typically after the Open, correct?
Yeah.
What was the inspiration, and what's the drive to continue to do it?
The Manor post, I think early on it started with I'd write a little blurb and people would be like, oh, write more. But I think what it turned into, honestly, as we all see with lots of things, that the old Facebook memory, right? It pops up, and then when you can pop it up and read the comments, it's pretty cool. I've always kind of had a way with words, and I don't know, sometimes I always say to the crowd, I said, sometimes I probably annoy myself, but I think people are sincere when they say that they do enjoy them and get a kick out of them. Mitch Davies will often comment like, this is the longest thing I have ever read in my entire life. I enjoy to just kind of get my thoughts out there and have the little memory pop up. And, I enjoy the different tidbits people share. When we won Masters and Open, of course, I had some epic posts and had a lot of comments. I actually, went through and printed it off and the comments, and I kind of added it to my scrapbook. So I think those will continue. As long as my ego gets a couple of likes to encourage me, I suppose I will. Watch now, the next one I post, there's going to be like a boycott. No likes, no comments.
It's just going to go dark. Yeah. No comments. Like, oh.
I think we all have like those relationships with bowling, but in an odd way. I think the many years, particularly at Masters, of struggling as much as we did, let's just say we had a bit of fun at those tournaments. When you're 2-12 or 1-13 after day 1 or 2, you might be having a couple of drinks. So I feel blessed to have established a lot of connections, and I think sometimes the post is sort of the way. Tracy Smith. I think the post, I feel sometimes is a way to sort of bring my people together. It's like a little hug.
Mm. Oh, that's awesome.
Do you like the Manor post, Adam? Or are we trying to get rid of the post?
I love reading them. Yes.
Perfect.
And quite frankly, that's for Mitch. Like, he's not the smartest guy I've ever met. So if he can get to the end, kudos.
That's him showing love, though. That's him showing.
I know.
Yeah.
He loves me. I know he loves me.
Yeah.
And then one other one that I've got is, I don't know if it might be. I don't know if it's controversial anymore, but. You're a huge proponent of the rookie dance at the Open, and you almost single-handedly with your Newfoundland team basically got that going year after year after year. Now that seems to have kind of gone to the wayside, and I just wanted to kind of get your take on the reasoning for C5 to kind of ban it, or was that your decision, or how did that all come about, and do you miss it?
So the rookie dance, I don't even actually know when it started. It goes well before my time. It's been on the go, I want to say, probably in some variation dating back to the 90s. Certainly very, very popular. I think it was a mutual decision, but it was kind of largely abolished at our request. We all know that the rookie dance has its, tasteless elements, for lack of a better way to put it. It was always tried to be kept in good fun, where people are not required. We never said it was a requirement for people to do it or people to make contact or just go through the things, but I think as a society, we just reached a point in time in which, it's not really appropriate, for one, and, really just to get right down to it, the associations and stuff are you putting yourself at risk in terms of what it represents and what image? It started in a different time with probably, a different context. It's like everything evolves over time, and I think we all just got to a point where we kind of agreed that it was just not something that should continue.
No, very fair.
Yeah. As one that got to do the rookie dance and all that stuff, I think a lot of people took it as it was just good fun. It was, for lack of a better term, it was a little bit of hazing for the new people and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, it ran its course. It's no longer the appropriate thing for that stuff, but now there will be new traditions started, and hopefully it's something else, right?
in a tasteful way and a non-judgmental and a non-voluntary or voluntary or whatever it is. Like you can't do that anymore.
Because let's be fair, Adam's first rookie outfit, nobody wanted to see it, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't tasteful.
Some of those
Thank God that's
rookie
gone.
outfits, Calgary French made. Holy
Yeesh.
smokes!
You know what though?
Actually, right when you look back at some of this stuff now, and that's probably the proper word. I mean, you're getting into one: is it hazing, and certain things, you know, are they crossing other lines and causing people I reached a point personally when I stepped back and looked at it, I became personally uncomfortable, so I knew I wasn't going to be involved with it anymore. And you know, basically everybody kind of shared that same sentiment. I don't know if I know the first year there was a few people asking about it, but when we kind of explained it, seemed fine. So I don't know if anybody's, you know, totally heartbroken over it being gone.
You know what? I think people were heartbroken maybe at the beginning, but now it's gone. I don't think they'll miss it. Like I know a lot of our like rookies that were in there. I know a couple of them. I won't say their names. Were very hesitant about it, and so we just told them, hey, just you know what, maybe just go back to your rooms for a little bit. Like, like
I did that.
I didn't do that. I got punched in the face, but that's a different story.
Mark Miller bailed last second.
Yeah, but you know. Yeah, you know what? Talk about me and Miller got hazed at Nationals by Kerry in 2014. So,
hey man, if I have to do it, somebody else has to do it.
Very brutally hazed. I'll say that.
I did the rookie. I bailed out of my rookie dance and I went back up to my room. I think that's the year I was also selling liquor out of my room, so I had a tab going and somebody wanted a drink or something. So I was like, "Sure, I'll take you back to my room and we'll go get a drink or something like that." Something was going on, anyways.
I think for me, I was probably a bit naive because I kind of know how we run things in Newfoundland. And my view to, and I mean, when we were getting up and sort of, you know, teaching people, my first thing was always, this is not mandatory. If you do not want to participate, 100% leave. If you want to participate in a modified version, absolutely. If you're partners with your buddy and, you know, me and Adam are going bopping around, have at her. Because some people did find it's just, you know, a bit of good fun. Right?
Yeah, totally.
When I really came to realize that not every, like, I thought every province was sort of promoting the freedom to make it whatever you want. And when I kind of found out that certain people were feeling very pressured, then that was a bit of an eye opener for me. And then I was like, I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah, I completely agree. Kerry, did you get that hint?
I was one of the guys that asked the rookies to do it because I thought it was part of the experience and stuff like that. And there's some good comments, like the rookie games kind of, I think, have filled the bill, right? Like to get them involved doing something competitive and something that isn't obviously the rookie dance. I think it's a good substitute. I think it looked fun. A lot of people are having fun doing it. So
support the rookie games more than a dance. That's for sure. But it brings attention. It gets them into the mood. And if they don't want to play it, that's fine. They don't have to. But it's a beer pong or whatever it is. Rookie games. I like it.
It's like everything else I think we've been saying. Like, we just got to continue to evolve, right? That might have been, you know, funny or had a place 20 or 30 years ago. It doesn't now, much like making, you know, people dress in whichever outfits. You know, we need to just be totally respectful of that, obviously.
Yeah. And as much as I hated that French maid uniform, and you know, I got really drunk that day. I made money on it. I do remember that the next morning when I found it. But having my name on the list of the Calgary bowlers that were on there, looking back on it, I'm happy that I was part of that group. Right. And with the open rookie dance, I'm happy that I did that. And, you know, humiliated. No, I don't think it was quite like that. But I'll always remember those. So as long as, you know, the rookies have some sort of an event that the rest of the province or the, you know, the veterans can kind of push to enhance that experience for the rookies, because they literally may never get back to that. Right. Yeah. So any additional memory that you can add to a bowling weekend is very necessary.
Yeah. You want to make it something that they'll remember and they'll never regret, right? If it
Correct.
becomes regretful, obviously that is the wrong course of action. That's the wrong route that we want to take. It's more, you want to be inclusive. You want everybody to have fun. And it's tough too. Certain people don't like to laugh at themselves and have that looked upon them. So it is a good option to have them, that if they don't want to participate, they don't participate, right? But I never regretted any of my stuff. I don't think it was meant to be make fun of you. It was meant to get you involved and get you be a part of everything.
Mostly
right?
Scarred for 7 years now.
Poor Tim.
Actually, you know who's emotionally scarred? It's my parents.
That's fair.
They're the ones who saw me in the elevator with lipstick and a dress that you can see my ass crack. So that's their problem. Not mine.
Talking about parents, good segue there, Tim. Let's take some time. I know, Melissa, you talked about that your family's been this biggest support system for you, and they've been there for me for bowling, coaching, or volunteering, whatever that is. So they've got a bit of bowling career too. So let's run through your family and tell us about them and all the support they've given you over the years.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who sees me at a tournament turns around expecting for sure to see mom and dad, but they have their own careers in their own right. My dad has been a coach for 35 years, longtime volunteer with Plaza Bowl YBC, only retired from that in the past, I want to say 5 years or so. He continued on with it even after my brother and I graduated. My dad's inducted into Newfoundland Hall of Fame as a builder for his coaching. We joke a lot with him. We like to give him as hard of a time as we give Shane. Dad is not the bowler of the family, despite his thinking that he is. He has bowled nationally, but he is the only member of the family who's not won a national medal as a bowler. He's won several as a coach, I'll give him that. He has bowled teaching masters and all that jazz. The real bowling star of the family is my mom. Mom is an active volunteer and coach, but has built quite a resume for herself in the teaching masters. She's bowled, I want to say she has her 15-year plaque from masters. And she has 2 bronze medals in teaching singles and has a little claim to fame in Masters history. Back in 2016, she started the teaching singles 12-0. She stuck on the lane and really tore up her leg, pulled a lot of muscles. Unfortunately, had to withdraw from the event. And the rule then, I think they might have refined it since. Mom didn't participate in the last 9 games, but her record still stood, so they converted her to 12 wins, I guess, and 9 losses, and that actually held up to win a medal. So she didn't bowl the last 9 games, and she ended up tied for 3rd. So she was awarded a bronze medal there. So that's pretty crazy. And my brother bowled actively in YBC and went to nationals, won a medal. Bowled a national classified. Once, he got a bit older, had a family and stuff with the time off and everything, he just kind of decided it wasn't really his thing. But, if we're bowling, if we're doing anything, we're all there. Anytime I'm in a tournament, you can pretty much find one or both of my parents there. We had a cool moment in 2013. My dad was coaching me in provincials and we won that day for the Open. Our team won. And it was a great day. We won. Holiday Lanes swept. And that night he was inducted to the Newfoundland Hall of Fame. And just to kind of share it within the family, we got my brother to do the induction speech.
Cool.
Partially to involve him, and also because the older I get, we found out I'm very actually sappy, which we didn't know. And I just bawl. Like when I was doing an Etta Powers, was doing an Etta Powers retirement speech in 2012, and I couldn't even finish the speech, like literally, and she thought I was faking and told me to stop being so dramatic. But yeah, no, it's cool. Like that's one of the things about bowling, right? It's like, we know, lifetime sport, but like my parents literally, like I'm not even bowling the weekend, injured hand. I'm literally not even bowling, and my parents are at the bowling alley morning, noon, and night. Largely to support me in the fact that Shane and I are running this event, but just like, loving it, talking to everybody, visiting with everybody. They bowled the Baker. I was supposed to bowl with them. I got replaced, and apparently I have been told I'm not welcome back on the team. They did pretty well. They brought in Trina English's husband, Steve, and between the three of them, they agreed. They thought that was a better partnership. So I'm now also looking for a Baker team, if anybody's looking. Len and Tracy.
Lenny?
Len, Tracy, and
there you go, Tracy. You're in.
So I got my mixed doubles. I'm gonna have my Baker team. This is great. But yeah, no, like I'm sure it's the same for all of you guys. Like the family involvement just makes it that more meaningful, right? It's something we're all involved in, and we can all support each other, and we have the similar experiences and whatever. Like I've always thought it's just such a charge being at a national tournament, and people are like, "Oh, I saw you talking to that lady." I'm like, "Yeah, that's my mom." Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
People play hockey and baseball. You don't see Adam run around on the soccer field with Braxton, right?
Is that a fat joke?
Just say it is.
I'm just stating the facts, Adam.
He'd be rolling.
Do you play soccer, Adam?
Not actively.
Yeah.
Watch now. Tomorrow, Adam's going to have his picture. I know you have your soccer fan with your jerseys, but you're going to be out tomorrow with your cleats on, kicking the ball around.
Maybe.
TikTok. I see a TikTok coming on there, Adam.
Yeah.
My name's not Dexter, although he might be bigger than I am now.
Ooh, that's a good joke.
I was just commenting about the fact that my parents bowl and I bowl, and Adam's is really good at soccer, and he doesn't play soccer, and now this has gone off the rails.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. It's about that.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wanted to chat about, touch base on, Melissa? What did we miss, or what can we talk about on your agenda?
I mean, I think we talked about most things. I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't just acknowledge, and I mean, I kind of have, just like so many people, starting with my family, but extending across this country, who have just been such, powerful influences, not only to me as a bowler, but like personally, like I've said, starting as an 8-year-old, Chris and Sandy and Karen. So like downstairs, I have a little bowling shrine, as we probably all do, with medals, and I've gotten the national medals framed and such, and everything in that room has to do with, me or my team or whatever, with the exception of one thing. It's a framed picture that I have down in my bowling shrine, and it's a picture of me with Karen, Chris, and Sandy. And like
awesome.
That, you know what I mean? Like 8-year-old Melissa's head would have exploded, right? And I mean, from them early days to still now, I mean, Tracy Smith, Tracy and Seth, me and Tracy had lots of chats during those, quote, hard years at Masters, as we like to call them. Natalie Trudell, I mean, like all of you guys over the years, I mean, we've definitely had our times and experiences, and the friendships that I've made, so many friendships. I mean, my best friend Megan wouldn't, it's just crazy what the sport brings, and then the way it changes your life. And I'm doing some traveling on my vacation, and who am I going to see? Bowling friends, going on trips, playing a cornhole tournament in the backyard. And I mean, I'm sure that's true looking at pictures I see on Facebook for most places. We're having a softball tournament or whatever. So I definitely wanted to acknowledge that. But I did have a question. It's a proverbial debate. I'm curious as to your guys' opinion. So like stepladder game, open, gold medal, one game, winner take all. Do you start your best 5, or do you keep strength on the bench?
Is it double knockout if you're first seed?
Let's assume it's down to this is it. It's the one game and that's it.
You start your best 5.
Best 5.
Agreed.
You run your horses. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting because over the years I've seen it done different ways by different teams, like here locally, and watching tournaments, and I've heard the justification of, someone's probably going to struggle, and you want to have whoever on the bench. And I'm thinking, what is it? You dance with the one who brought you or whatever, right? You have to start your best. To me, it's not even a question. But over the years, I've had a lot of.
There is a caveat to that, though, right? So there are true bench players that are out there, and especially that particular weekend, if they have been coming off the bench very, very strong, I don't mind keeping them there to start that final match either.
I don't know.
Yeah, as a scenario situation, I get what you're saying. Like the last 3 games, this guy's come off the bench and he's run 5 baggers.
Yeah.
And he's staying on the bench and he's fine with it. But start the best 5.
I kind of look at it as like if you don't starting the best 5 will give you that 300-point lead, or trying to get that 300-point lead.
Doesn't
right?
matter at that point. Yeah.
Right, but if you don't start your best 5, you might be winning it in 10. That's sort of how I look at it.
Let's be fair too. Hopefully that 6 player literally isn't like, they're not a 2-10 player. They're probably just as good.
Totally,
they can come off the bench and throw just as many strikes as your best 5. So
they should.
You start your best 5 that are playing the best on the weekend. You run it, and if you run into that situation, you'll see where your 6th player has the guts. That's for sure.
We had it in Winnipeg when we won in 2010. Bruce started on the bench in the Golds, and everybody's freaking out in the stands. But you know what, Bruce?
It's crazy.
But Bruce at that time was not at his pinnacle, right? But just the aura of having Bruce on the bench helped us, right? But
did he come in halfway?
We lost, and he started the last game, and then he started 6-bagger. But that's beside the point. So
who's your coach?
That was Lynn. It was Lynn.
Uh-oh.
Lynn started his buddy on the bench? Wow.
Yeah, so I will tell you that Bruce started off on the bench, and Mapstone was starting, and they combined that game against BC for $137 or something in the gold medal match. And then Bruce is like, well, that kind of sucked. And he's like, so he put him in, and we all started off really well. But the sort of reason why I say you start your best 5. But again, on that team, anybody could have played. But yeah.
I've heard the debate, and I've been on teams, and I won't say which ones they were. They date back a long time ago, but I've been on teams where maybe you did have that average disparity, right? And the thought was, that person, with the lowest average on the team and maybe the least experienced, you're going, if you start them on the bench because they're perceived as, the 6th bowler, what happens if they need to go in? Can they go in? Should you start them or whatever? But like, I'm with you guys 100%. Whoever you feel at that moment your best 5 is, you start them, because to me, if you're planning for someone on the bench to come in, it's like you're almost planning to lose or planning to struggle, right?
Planning to have at least one of you guys. Okay, which one's it going to be? Is it going to be you, Adam? Is it going to be you, Tim? Or is it going to be you, Carrie? One of us is going to struggle. Whereas, no, bad attitude. All 5 of us are going in. We're all gonna light it up, and it's going to be done deal before we even know it.
Or people perceive that bench player, needs to be able to go in anywhere. So what if that bench player just does not have the ability or desire, say, to go in on the bottom? Then you're going, well, my anchor bowler is staying in the game regardless. But, I would argue whoever your anchor bowler is probably one of your top bowlers that's on your team. And if they're coming out of the game, you're probably in a whole lot of trouble anyway.
That's right. Yeah. If it's, like you said, though, Melissa, it's one game. It's for all the marbles. Everything's on the line. Yeah. You want the 5 to go, and you're not making a sub. This is how it's going, guys. The 5 best players, and you're going to play the game. Right? Yeah. And unless you're into the 3rd or 4th frame, are you making a pull in the 3rd? No, you're making a pull in the 7th or 8th or 9th. And then by that time, don't even bother pulling. 7 to 5.
Too late at 7, but after 3 or 4 frames, you know where this game is going, I think.
Right, but you'd hope, though, you put your best 5 in, you're not looking to pull somebody after 3.
No,
unless you're comfortable in 6. So there's a lot of dynamic coming. Yeah.
No, you're getting that guy in an 8 just to make sure that he played that gold medal match that you're about to win.
That's what you want to do. Yeah. That's your sub you want to make, for sure.
We did that in 2019 with Michael. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But he was throwing bombs off the bench when we needed him, right? So it made that was like a double make sense, right? We ran our probably top 5 at that moment, and we had lots of confidence with our bench player. It was great.
Yeah, it helped if you started 8-bagger and Bradley started with 7, but yeah.
It might have.
Yeah. But good question there, Melissa.
You're very good. Very good.
That's really good.
So that's always a hot debate here.
Now, the only last thing I kind of wanted to bring up, because I think we'd be remiss as well. We did mention Bobby O and Terry Blake, which honestly, I didn't see that in the Canadian 5-pin post.
Oh yeah, no, Terry was he was announced last year to be inducted in Newfoundland, but because it's cancelled, they're both.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay,
and but then I'm going to call you now. Shout out to Tom Stevenson and Dave Post.
Exactly.
I had that in my notes, missed it, so thank you.
Another truly great honor, and love the fact that C5 is still pushing these stars for their Hall of Fame. So here's hoping that we can all make it there this year, so we can all have a nice party, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tim is basically committed to running an MBT tournament, so I mean,
he's there.
We'll be definitely in touch, and I mean, we got all of our sponsors on board, so this is shaping up quite nicely, actually.
That's open, right? Open nationals are there.
What's that?
Nationals.
Yeah, open nationals are there, so that's end of May. Do we have dates for that right now?
I'm sure we do.
It's a Saturday. It's like June 1st to 4th or something. There's always the first Saturday in June in Lands.
We arrive in.
No, we.
No, that's
the Saturday. Okay, gotcha.
So it'd be end of May 30th or something like that. So yeah.
Right. So do you go early for the vacation, or do you go after for the vacation?
You want to go early because after the Nationals, you're done.
Unless you want to go sit on remote Airbnb on an island somewhere and just veg out for a couple of days.
Hey, George Street's pretty boring on a Monday or Tuesday.
Not looking to do that. Just looking to go sightsee. There's Annie Green Gables or whatever these things are down there.
No, that's PEI.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
You got to get the McLobster. That's the last time I had a McLobster was in Newfoundland. Yeah,
McLobster. Wow.
Is that even a thing anymore?
I don't know.
Well, we could totally make this an annual thing because we just shift the date slightly because then I don't know the schedule, but like, do we have Masters the following year? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if we're looking good for 2 years at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got my partners lined up for the different events, so I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
JB's just happy you guys mentioned PEI.
Hey, buddy.
JB, you know how sensitive we all are about our locals. JB is like an adopted Newfoundlander. He is our. I was gonna say I had to make a correction, JB. I'm sorry, you're about to be trumped. JB had the distinction of being our only out of province MBT bowler and the person who had traveled furthest. So he's now been beaten on a technicality because this weekend we were graced by the presidents of one Sheena Owens. Current resident of Alberta. So I mean, technically, well, man, what a blast from the past that was having Sheena back at the lanes, and dare I say, she even seemed to be enjoying herself. And apparently, there's talk of like league, and I don't know. Yeah. There's something the pandemic has put. So they reunited their 1994 Bantam Girls National Championship team for the Baker event.
That was a cool picture.
That was pretty cool. No sweat, Sheena. I always got your back. But again, even all jokes aside, right? Great friendships born in bowling. I mean, Sheena and I always knew each other, but we're a bit apart in age, so we never really bowled much. But long story made short, there came a banquet in which there was someone at the banquet I wasn't too happy with, and I needed a bit of backup support. And well, as tough as I am, I'm not the most intimidating presence. And Sheena brings that certain attitude with her. We weren't even really friends at the time, and she's like, "You need this situation taken care of? I'm on it." Next thing I knew, there was half of a racket on the go, half of a fight breaking out. Great friends from then on. we all need a Sheena in our life, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many beers I won off her. It was fun at Nationals.
Well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, we have reached our allotment for this podcast. We've even gone over time, but I'm sure we could spend hours still talking. Melissa, you've been a great guest. We'll probably do a round of the guests that we wish we would have spoke more time to. So maybe we'll include you in podcast 200. You never know.
Absolutely. It was great to be on.
All right. So if nothing else, thanks again, and we'll let you go so you can get to bed. I do believe you're 3.5 hours ahead in the future. So
yes, it is soon going to be like Friday or Thursday or Sunday. One day closer to beer, Adam, and I will tag you in my first vacation beer when I have it.
Deal.
Monday's coming up.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good job.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Have a good night.
Awesome.
What a
Nice
great
work.
ambassador.
Has
She's
done
been
so
around
much.
forever.
Yeah, so much too, and so many great friendships across the country. You know, you always see her at the tournaments or the Masters or the Open Nationals, and it's just so friendly with everybody. Right? Has some really really good deep relationships with people. So it's good to see, and it's put a ton of time and effort into the bowling world in Newfoundland, which greatly needed. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and seeing the NBT and how well it's done and grown with her and Shane behind the reins there, like, as somebody that is a part of one of those type of associations running tour events and stuff like that, it's awesome just to see on social media that there's a tour event going on. So you share it, you watch part of it and stuff like that. Even though they are so far ahead in the future, it's tough to catch some of their stuff when they're going on in the middle of the day, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely great having Melissa on. I mean, she does a lot out there. She's always been one of our top of her list, so it worked out perfectly with her vacation. So it was great having her on as being the second Newfoundlander to come on our podcast.
Every time she tells her stories, I can't imagine having that type of a memory. Like Tim, you've got a very similar one where you can just remember everything. She's going to be, basically a borderline bowling historian for us for many, many years as well, on top of everything else she's doing for the sport right now. So it was a wonderful conversation with her.
Yeah, for sure. Well, shall we do our all-star draw?
Let's do it.
We have 15 entries. Thanks again to Shelby Crest and All-Star Bowling Sales for sponsoring us for another week and giving away, I believe it's a gift card they give away. I try not to delve into their giveaway too much. Good luck, everyone.
Colin.
Oh no!
I looked at his name on the right, but I didn't. I was like, no.
One of our strongest supporters, Mr. Len Anseth.
Yeah.
There's no left-handed bowling balls he sells, so.
Congrats, Lenny.
Good job, buddy.
Awesome. We'll get Shelby to reach out to you and get that all sorted out for you. I guess what's coming up? I wanted to pitch the idea, obviously. We got the go-ahead from the Autumn Open that they're willing to do the press conference idea and stuff like that. So I'm thinking the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, instead of a podcast, we do a 1-hour press conference. We bring in the tournament coordinator. We'll bring in a WCBT board member and do like 15-minute segments, and then we'll bring in 15-minute increments some of the players that will be competing at the Autumn Open this year.
Yeah, competing, past champions, some of that sort of. Yeah, I love the idea, Kerry. Good job. So like the 2 days before, right?
Yeah, it'd be the Wednesday because the trio starts on Thursday.
Sure, I like it.
So, yeah,
good idea.
Cool.
How are you guys' 8-gamer going for playoffs?
It's going good. There's some videos coming out soon.
Beautiful.
We're almost done all the preliminary matches. We've done some round of 16 matches, so we are getting to the nitty-gritty. Obviously, we haven't posted any winners or anything like that besides in the group of the 8-gamer. But there will be some episodes coming out here shortly, and hopefully people enjoy them. There's some really good matches out there, so it'll be pretty cool to see everybody's reaction to them. I got to live them all.
Mitch is so excited about playing.
Yeah. Pro Team League starts October 3rd too.
October 3rd, yep.
Games start playing. We may not release the videos that day, but the games start playing that day.
I think the first week we'll just record, but I think if everything goes smoothly and there isn't too much work on the post-production side, we may live stream the rest of them, and they'll be starting not right after Thanksgiving, but the weekend after, because Masters in Alberta happens to be the week after the Autumn Open. So
of course we'll promote the heck out of that with all kinds of posts and shares and likes and all these things and videos and everything. So Sunday mornings will be what we're looking at, is bringing back Sunday morning bowling.
Yep, exactly. So it'll start at 9 a.m. Alberta time, and it'll be over at noon. It'll be 3 matches, 3 or more teams will be competing in those 3 matches. It depends on the week. But yeah, things are looking really good. Obviously, with some restriction stuff coming in Alberta, there'll probably be some team roster changes, but it's all looking good and can't wait.
Giddy up. Let's do it.
Keep up the good work.
Alrighty. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to all our patrons, and we'll see you guys probably next week.
See you later.
Sounds good.
Take care,
Have a good
guys.
night.